Live from Maverick Center, it's Utah Grizzlies hockey. As tonight, the Grizz are over at INTRUST Bank Arena to take on the Thunder in the last of a three-game series. Hi, everybody. I'm Tyson Whiting. We got ourselves quite a pickle here tonight. Grizzlies are looking to salvage the third game of the series. They lost 4-1 last night to the Wichita Thunder. The Grizzlies are in game 6 of 7 straight on the road. The Grizzlies are currently 1-3-1 on the current road trip, and they are 3-4-1 away from home this season. Well, I guess there's one way to be able to pick up the broadcast, and that is the Wichita radio broadcast. If you remember yesterday, early in the second period, the internet went out at INTRUST Bank Arena in Wichita. There was no score in the game, and that was the last that we had seen of the Grizzlies and Thunder. Wichita eventually scored 7-10 into the second period as Mikhail Stenell picked up his 9th goal of the season. Stenell leads the league with 21 points this season, 9 goals and 12 assists. Aaron Aragon got Utah's lone goal as he scored 12:25 into the second, with Derek Dashke and Tyson Upper getting the assist. Late in the second period, Wichita got a power play, and Jeremy Bushler found the back of the net for the third time this season. Peter Bates and Nolan Burke got the assist. Wichita led 2-1 after 40 minutes of play. Early in the third, Joe Carroll got a centering pass from Jay Dickman and found the back of the net as Carroll got his 4th goal of the season. Dickman and Nolan Burke picked up the assists as Burke had 2 assists for Wichita last night. And then Jay Dickman added an empty netter with a minute and 58 seconds left in the third period. It's his 9th goal of the season. Carroll and Neen picked up the assists as both Dickman and Carroll had 1 goal and 1 assist. So Wichita won 4-1, and they've won each of the first 2 games of the series as Wichita got a 5-2 victory on Wednesday night. Now, we had mentioned the internet issues. We didn't see the second half of last night's game, and we will not be able to see tonight's game either, as apparently whatever issues they have at INTRUST Bank Arena have not been solved. And so there is no Flow Sports broadcast tonight. And the problem is that's the only way we were able to see the game tonight. So we will not have a play-by-play description of tonight's Utah Grizzlies game. There's no way to see the game. I guess the only way to view the game is to buy a ticket and go to INTRUST Bank Arena and view the game. There is no Flow Sports broadcast. There is no video broadcast. There is a Wichita radio broadcast, apparently, and it is on Mixlr, which is where the Grizzlies were with their audio broadcast a few years ago. Go to the Wichita Thunder's page on Mixlr, and Jason Malls will have a play-by-play description of the game. So what do we do? Do we hang out and talk sports for 3 hours and look at the ECHL website, give updates on the game? That might be what we do. I'm not sure. Because we don't have a description of the game. We'll see what the Grizzlies can do tonight. We will talk some hockey. We'll also talk some sports. And we will talk about the growth of hockey in the state of Utah, as after all, 2024, if you're talking about the biggest year in the history of hockey in the state of Utah, well, I don't think there's any question. It's 2024. 1996 was also a great year. That's when the Grizzlies won the Turner Cup in their first year in the Salt Lake Valley, as Grizzlies this season are celebrating 30 seasons in the Salt Lake Valley. Salt Lake Golden Eagles had a ton of success in the late 1980s when they were affiliated with the Calgary Flames. But 2024 certainly has seen the most plot twists and really seen the most impact in terms of the growth of hockey in the state of Utah. And that's something we're going to see probably for the next generation, as we're going to see the growth of people playing hockey, a lot more people watching hockey, and it's growing, and it's only going to get bigger as the years progress. So, we're going to talk some hockey. We're going to talk sports. We're going to have a good time tonight, and we will talk about the upcoming homestand. I don't know about you, but I am really looking forward to the 6-game homestand. Guarantee we're going to see all 6 games here at Maverick Center in the next 2 weeks. And there's a lot of great promotions. There's a lot of fun things happening in and around the arena at Maverick Center. And we'll talk about that all show long, as unfortunately we do not have a description, as we don't have a picture of tonight's Utah Grizzlies game, as they take on the Wichita Thunder in the last of a 3-game set. There have been some key performers from the Grizzlies' perspective. You look at Derek Dashke, and it seems like every night Dashke continues to make an impact. And right now he is second among all league defensemen in assists and points. He's got 11 assists and 14 points. The only guy that he trails in points among defensemen is a familiar name. It's Kyle Mayhew with the Fort Wayne Komets. That's right. Mayhew does lead all league defensemen in points, as he's just been outstanding for the Komets. And as we know, if Kyle Mayhew were a few inches taller, he might not even be an American Hockey League player. He'd probably be in the National Hockey League. That's how good he is. This season, in 12 games for Fort Wayne, Mayhew has 3 goals and 13 assists. Dashke's got 3 goals and 11 assists. So Mayhew leads all league defensemen in points as well as assists, and second in the league is Derek Dashke. Johnny Fairbrother, the Grizzlies captain, has also been outstanding, as Fairbrother's got 5 goals, which ties for the league lead for goals among defensemen. And that's not unusual for the Grizzlies. 3 of the last 7 years, the Grizzlies have had a defenseman that have led all league defensemen in goals. Taylor Richard and Matt Register tied for the league lead for goals among D-men in the 2017-2018 season with 17. But how things go. Ties go to the Grizzlies. So Richard obviously led the league, even though he's tied with Matt Register, who's currently with the Idaho Steelheads, and Register, a future league Hall of Famer. I think everybody remembers, and obviously we're talking a lot of Grizzlies history with this being the Grizzlies' 30th year. I don't know there was any more legendary non-championship year playoff run, because obviously 1996, everything becomes legendary because of how that season ended. But the playoff run that Charles-Edouard Dastou had, where he broke a league record for goals in a single postseason, and it was just in 3 rounds, and he actually broke the goals record in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. If I remember right, he had 19 playoff goals, and that's as a defenseman. And most of those were assisted by Ben Tardif, as they were an outstanding dynamic. They were a dynamic duo for sure. Dastou had 26 goals in the 2021-22 season to lead all league defensemen. And last year, Josh Wesley led all league defensemen in goals with 18. We got some Grizzlies trivia tonight. I think tonight's going to be a fun Grizzlies trivia game. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to look at the ECHL app. And we kind of talked about and had a little bit of fun with recreating games. We might have to recreate this one. We will look at the box score, give you updates as we see them on the ECHL website. Apparently, they do have enough internet to be able to update the box scores constantly. So we'll probably be able to do that pretty much anything except for we can't see the game, which is massively disappointing based on the fact that we are here to have a hockey game. So we thank everybody for tuning in. I'm not sure that we're going to have much more than a talk show tonight with a few updates as to how the game's going on. As the Grizzlies take on the Wichita Thunder, we might even see if we can find a link for where that Wichita broadcast is. It's just a radio broadcast on Mixlr. Jason Malls, who's been with the Thunder for, I think, about a decade or so. He's been there longer than I've been with the Grizzlies. He'll have the play-by-play description of the game as he is at INTRUST Bank Arena. Well, when we come back, we'll talk some sports on the other side. We'll go over some league scores. We'll give you an update on the standings. Pretty much we'll talk about everything, as we got plenty of time to kill here over the next 3 hours, as the Utah Grizzlies will take on the Wichita Thunder. Face-off is in about 5 minutes from now over at INTRUST Bank Arena. We won't have a description of the game, unfortunately, but we can give you the starters and maybe some keys to think about as we go over the box score and kind of look at how this first period transpires. We're in business on a Friday night, sort of in business, as we're going to have some fun anyway. So hang with us over the next couple hours as you're listening to the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
When you buy tires at Les Schwab, you're getting more than just tires. You're getting America's best tire warranty, 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. So if something happens to your tire on the road, we'll fix it, or we'll replace it, no questions asked. Other places make you pay extra for that kind of protection, but at Les Schwab, it's included with every set of tires, because more warranty means less worry, and nobody stands by their tires like Les Schwab. Get more.
Every new day is a chance to be kinder to your body and your mind. U of U Health is here to help you build strength and confidence every day. Let us help you be a better you. U of U Health, official health partner for the Utah Jazz, Utah Hockey Club, Utes Athletics, and the Utah Grizzlies. Take the first step today at uofuhealth.org.
Since 1939, America First has helped people start businesses, buy homes and cars, and achieve their financial goals. Today, our top priority is still the financial success of you and your family, which is why we're giving new members $100 when they sign up for a basic savings and checking account, and another $100 when they upgrade to premium checking and enroll in and use direct deposit. So head to americafirst.com today and join the credit union that always puts its members first.
Why is Jerry Seiner the #1 Kia store in the Salt Lake region? Selection. We've got over 350 new Kias to choose from. Savings. Shop over 30 new Kia Seltos models and save up to $2,000 off when you buy. Jerry Seiner has been the area's most trusted automotive source for over 40 years. Little wonder then how we've made thousands of friends to last a lifetime. Jerry Seiner Kia, Salt Lake.
Well, welcome back to Utah Grizzlies hockey. This is pretty much going to turn into a talk show tonight. We will give updates as we see it on the ECHL website. We won't really have a description of the game as, unfortunately, there is no Flow Sports broadcast for tonight's game as the internet issues that have gone on for over a day now at INTRUST Bank Arena in Wichita, which is a beautiful downtown arena. Apparently just won't allow for a streaming broadcast of the game, and unfortunately that's the only way we were able to see what's going on over in Wichita, Kansas. We do know the starting lineups for both teams. First for the visiting Utah Grizzlies, who have a record of 5-6-1. They are 3-4-1 on the road. Adam Scheel will get the start in net. It'll be his 11th start this season. He's got a record of 5-4-1. He is 6'3" and 192 pounds. Last night, Vinny Duplessis saved 29 of 32 in his first start of the season. Duplessis is 6'1" and 175 pounds. He'll be the backup tonight. Starting forwards are Mick Messner, Reed Lebster, and Cole Gallant. Grizzlies did switch up the forward lines a little bit this evening. Gallant's got 11 assists this year. He has 8 assists over his last 6 games. And as for Mick Messner, watch out for him. Watch out for him as if we're going to have any sort of being able to watch anything tonight. Messner does have 20 shots on goal over the last 5 games. So I guess as we look at the box score, that's something to keep an eye out. How aggressive is Messner with his shot? And how aggressive are the Grizzlies with their shots? After all, Utah has been outshot in each of the first 2 games of this series. On Wednesday night, Wichita got a 39-28 edge in the shot count. On Thursday, it was Wichita outshooting Utah 33-23. So I guess as we ponder through the box score tonight, that's something to keep an eye out for. Is what's the shot count look like on both teams? Are the Grizzlies able to get their fair share? And in the first period, when we were able to watch the game yesterday, the Grizzlies actually did a pretty good job. I thought the first period, even though neither team scored a goal, I thought Utah played pretty well. They outshot the Thunder 11-7. However, over the last 2 periods in last night's game, Wichita outshot Utah 26-12. So that's going to be a big factor. I think, can Utah find a way to at least be even, not only in shots, but in scoring chances tonight? That's going to be a big factor. Go to my X account, X obviously formerly known as Twitter. I'm at Tyson on Sports, and I reposted a link that Jason Malls, the Wichita broadcaster, had. I guess they do have enough internet to where they're able to have a radio broadcast, and it is on Mixlr. I guess Jason Malls will be on the call with Matt Harding, and that is the only broadcast that we know that is available that has a play-by-play description of tonight's game. So go to my social media account, and you'll be able to find the Wichita broadcast. As it's just about time for face-off. It's about 6:04. That's the time here up and down the Wasatch Front. I'm Tyson Whiting. Grizzlies are looking for their first victory of the series. Utah has had a lot of success against Wichita in the past. Utah, over the last 16 meetings against the Thunder, are 12-4. But right now they're just looking to salvage the third and final game of the series. And once we start getting some updates as to what's happening over at INTRUST Bank Arena, we'll be able to provide them We're just going to try to find a way to do the best we can with what we have. One of the interesting things, though, when you look at the ECHL website, we'll just be talking kind of like a normal talk show here. I guess this will be Grizz Talk here on a Friday night. It details the cancer journey of Joey Ratz. There's an interview that Joey had with the Kalamazoo broadcaster, and it kind of details his journey with cancer. And Joey Ratz not only was successfully able to beat it, but he was also able to come back and play pro hockey. Ratz was with the Grizzlies during the 2018-2019 season, and he is back playing with the Kalamazoo Wings. And Kalamazoo, I think they're in action tonight. Just about everybody is in action on this Friday night, as Kalamazoo is taking on the Florida Everblades. That game is 6 minutes in. As in net for Florida, we'll check to see. Will Cranley is one of two goaltenders for Florida, and Cranley is in net tonight. He has saved 4 of 5 as Cox scored for Kalamazoo, 16-26 in. Joey Ratz is in the lineup for Kalamazoo, and he was on the ice for the Wings goal. So he is a +1 tonight and has taken 1 shot. Ratz had a couple goals with the Grizzlies during the 2018-2019 season. That's a year where the Grizzlies were really deep defensively, and unfortunately because of that, Ratz wasn't able to get in nearly as many games as he probably would have otherwise. But he had a pretty good year. He played his college hockey at Arizona State University, where he was a college teammate with former Grizzly forward Johnny Walker, and I think maybe former Grizzly defenseman Jacob Semick as well. So that is at ECHL.com, as Joey Ratz, in a video form, describes his battle with, I think, testicular cancer. And so that's on the ECHL website. Former Grizzly Joey Ratz back in professional hockey with the Kalamazoo Wings. Scores around the league, a few games in action. The Grizzlies do not play tomorrow, as this is the third straight day worth of a game against Wichita. The Grizzlies' road trip will end at BOK Center in Tulsa. There'll be a 2 o'clock start, and we are certainly hoping, praying, and wishing that we can find a way to get a video feed so we can describe the Sunday afternoon's game. That's going to be at 2 o'clock against a pretty good Tulsa team. Oilers right now are in first place in the Mountain Division. Actually, they're tied for first with Kansas City. Tulsa is 8-4-1 this season. Kansas City is simply 8-4. Kansas City is 8-4-0-1. Both teams have 17 standings points and an even 654 point percentage. As looks like face-off might have taken place a couple minutes ago. I certainly hope they've got some sort of game sheet that they're able to post as the game goes on. Derek Dashke took a shot 53 seconds into the game. Dashke does lead the Grizzlies with 42 shots on goal, and now with that one shot he took 53 seconds in, gives him 43 on the season. As we're scoreless a few minutes in, Utah apparently is outshot Wichita 3-2. Grizzlies took the first 3 shots of the game. Dashke fired away 53 seconds in. Then 19 seconds later, Dashke took another shot that was blocked by Dell. And then a minute 53 in, Briley Wood had a quality look on net, as he was probably somewhere in the paint. That would be considered a scoring chance, but Dell made the save. And then 8 seconds later, Jay Dickman fired away. And according to the ECHL website, it says a non-quality on-net shot. So that must have been taken from the perimeter somewhere. And then 2:34 into the first period, Mikkel Stenell fired from down yonder on a non-quality on-net shot, according to the website, that Shield made the save on. So Utah's up to 3 shots. Wichita's taken 2. And what a riveting play-by-play description we've got here. As now the shot counts. Boy, the shots are coming fast and furious, it appears. Utah's up to 5 shots. Wichita's taken 2. The Grizzlies took the first 3 shots. It appears Wichita responded with the last 3, with the next 3, with Peter Bates getting a shot 2:52 in. And then Craig Armstrong took a shot 3:14 in. And then Wood got the rebound, fired on net, and that was saved by Dell as well. So Utah's up to 5 shots to Wichita's 3. As it appears we are about 4 minutes into the game. So we'll keep you updated every now and then as to what is happening over at INTRUST Bank Arena. Unfortunately, We won't have a description, but do follow my X account, not just to follow it, but the Wichita Thunder broadcast team does have a radio broadcast. There's no Flow Sports tonight, apparently. Internet issues won't allow that Flow Sports feed, but there is a Wichita radio broadcast. It's kind of a shameless thing. Hey, go to my social media account, but that's the only place I know. It's Mixlr, and I guess if you just go to Mixlr.com, find the Wichita Thunder, and they've got a radio broadcast of tonight's game as the Grizzlies and Thunder are scoreless a few minutes in. As it looks like Utah's up to 6 shots to Wichita's 3. And Cole Gallant had a pretty good look, 3:55 in, a quality shot, which I would imagine would be called a scoring chance. Utah does have 3 of those, 2 by Briley Wood, and now 1 by Cole Gallant, 3:53 in. But it appears like we're still scoreless as we're about 4 minutes into the game over at INTRUST Bank Arena. For the Grizzlies, it's going to be a fun 6-game homestand starting next Wednesday. That's the day before Thanksgiving, as the Indy Fuel will be in town. Make sure you get your tickets at UtahGrizzlies.com. And then on Black Friday, there is a special ticket offer, a $12 ticket offer that you can get at UtahGrizzlies.com. Take advantage of the Black Friday offer. But remember to wear white. I know it's kind of odd to say, but we're going to have a white out for Black Friday, as there's going to be $12 tickets. Grizzlies will take on the Indy Fuel. And then Saturday, November 30th, is going to be pickleball night. And if you go to UtahGrizzlies.com, I guess we could probably go to UtahGrizzlies.com. I might take advantage of that right now. Boy, the shots are coming fast and furious for the Grizzlies. They're up to 9 shots. Briley Wood has taken at least 4 of them, and they are considered quality chances. Aaron Aragon took a shot 5:27 in. So the Grizzlies, we talked about the shot count. You know, the Grizzlies, having been outshot in each of the first 2 games by about 10 per game, they've already taken 9 shots in the first 5.5 minutes of tonight's game. It appears to still be scoreless 5.5 minutes into the game. But Briley Wood looks like he's been very active. The only way we know that is he's already taken 3 or 4 shots. In fact, he's taken 4 shots on Wichita goaltender Aaron Dell. Dell, who was with the Grizzlies during the 2013-2014 season, and him and Igor Bobkov. If you're talking about like the best goaltending tandems in team history, those two are a dynamic duel. They had very similar stats that season, and both of those guys were absolutely outstanding. Unfortunately, the Grizzlies ended up losing in the first round of the Kelly Cup playoffs that season, but goaltending was certainly not the issue with them. So it looks like it is still scoreless, as we're about 6 minutes into the game, and it looks like Joe Carroll took a shot for Wichita, 5:56 in. So we're 6 minutes in, still no score. Grizzlies do have a shot advantage of 9-4 over the Thunder early on. We'll keep talking and updating that game every now and then, but the pickleball night is something that I think is exciting. It's the first ever Grizzlies pickleball night. So go to UtahGrizzlies.com. I think there's a limit there. I think there's only 200 pickleball paddles that you can get, but they look beautiful. It's a special pickleball paddle package. That's easy for me to say, but go to UtahGrizzlies.com, get it. Now, I heard that pickleball paddles are actually pretty expensive. So if you go to UtahGrizzlies.com, you can get a somewhat affordable pickleball paddle. From what I hear, it is a good paddle, and it's got a Grizzlies logo. Black, professional green, a little bit of white mixed in. So it's just, it's something to get. I might actually get it myself, buy a ticket and get that pickleball paddle. That's going to be for the November 30th game, the last game of the Indy series. And then the following week, the Kansas City Mavericks, the defending Western Conference champions, will be in town December 6th and 7th. It's Healthcare Appreciation Weekend presented by U of U Health. And that's going to be December 6th and 7th. The Teddy Bear Toss and Ugly Sweater Night will be on December 21st as the Grizzlies take on the Tahoe Night Monsters. Well, it looks like they're about 6 or 7 minutes into tonight's game. Grizzlies have outshot the Thunder 9-4. In fact, there's 13 minutes and 50 seconds left in the first period. We're unable to see the game. There's no Flow Sports broadcast, which is where I would we're really the only place you can watch the game without being there. But we're just kind of having a talk show and kind of working through updating the game every now and then. It looks like they are at a media timeout. 6 minutes and 10 seconds into the game. There's a couple fun promotions in the month of February. In fact, there's, I'd say, 3 in particular. One is the annual Guns N' Hoses night, as they're going to have multiple charity games in the afternoon. That's going to be on February 1st. Utah will take on Idaho at 7:10. The charity games are a ton of fun, including especially the main event, which is the last charity game, which usually takes place about 3 or 4 o'clock. That's always a fun one, a very spirited and competitive game. I have seen fights in Guns N' Hoses games before. In fact, I've probably seen more fights in Guns N' Hoses games on those nights than I have during Grizzlies games. So make sure you get your tickets and get there early. A ticket to the Grizzlies game does get you into the charity games. So you can buy one ticket to a Grizzlies game, or, maybe 2 or 3 tickets, depending on how many people you're bringing to the game. And you can also get into the charity games earlier in the day. The Grizzlies will have their first ever fishing night presented by Mountain Land Supply, as it's the fishing night as the Grizzlies take on the Steelheads. As the Grizzlies look to hook the Steelheads, and that's going to be on fishing night, February 15th. The Grizzlies will be wearing fishing-themed specialty jerseys. And boy, I can only imagine what those will look like. The fishing jerseys, especially if we get like a green Grizzlies vest, that'd be a beautiful-looking jersey. I could almost see that being the jersey of the year if it's executed properly. That's going to be a ton of fun. Fishing night, as the Grizzlies look to hook the Steelheads, that will be on February 15th. Well, it looks like TJ Lloyd took a shot 7:09 into the first period that was saved by Adam Scheel. Right now, there's 12 minutes and 51 seconds left in the first period. No score between the Grizzlies and Thunder. And we were going to keep a close eye on the shot count. And right now, Utah has outshot Wichita 9-5. So that's early on. Still no score. Wichita does have a radio broadcast tonight. And you can go to the Mixler site and find the Wichita Thunder broadcast, and they got a radio description of the game. I don't want to be the one, shamelessly plugging my social media at Tyson on Sports on X, as that I've reposted the link that the Wichita broadcaster had, where he probably knows he's going to get some more Grizzlies fans tonight, as that's the only way to get a play-by-play description of tonight's game. Otherwise, you can just look at the ECHL website and kind of look over their play-by-play, where it just mentions shots. They haven't mentioned any penalties yet, which means that they've been skating 5-on-5 this entire time, and that's really not that uncommon after all. The Grizzlies are the least penalized team in the league by a wide margin. The Grizzlies this season have only had 76 penalty minutes, 6.33 per game. So the Grizzlies have done a great job of being disciplined. We mentioned that the Grizzlies had a 9-4 shot advantage after Aaron Aragon fired away on Aaron Dell, 5:27. And it looks like Wichita's responded with the last 4 shots, including some quality ones. Mikael Stenell, 7:43 in, and then Jake Wallen took a quality shot on Adam Scheel, 9:05 into the first period. So the shot count is looking a little bit more even from Wichita's side. Grizzlies at 9 shots. Wichita is up to 7, as we are 9 minutes into the first period. And right now there's no score between the Grizzlies and the Thunder. Let's take a look at some NHL scores tonight. I know it's a lot busier on Saturdays in the National Hockey League than it normally is on Friday, so it's probably a pretty light slate tonight. In fact, there's only 2 NHL games. 12 minutes are left in the second period. Winnipeg leads Pittsburgh 2-0. And at 8 o'clock, Buffalo is at the Anaheim Ducks. So that's not a very busy Saturday night schedule. In the NHL last night, the Grizzlies NHL affiliate, the Colorado Avalanche, got a 2-1 victory over Washington. The Boston Bruins defeated the Utah Hockey Club 1-0. As it was probably a shame there for Utah's Vemelka. Veggie had a pretty good outing, allowing only 1 goal. But it's one of those things, sometimes when you're struggling, you could play a great game defensively, but can't find a way to get the puck in the back of the net. As Vemelka saved 30 of 31. Korpisalo for Boston picked up a 21-save shutout. So that was last night. Tomorrow, both teams will be in action. Colorado is at the Florida Panthers, a rematch of the 1996 Stanley Cup Finals, where Colorado swept Florida in a 4-game set. And with the first 2 games being played at McNichols Arena, and then games 3 and 4 at Miami Arena. And the Colorado Avalanche, that was their first year in Denver after moving from Quebec. And, that was one of those where the Avalanche picked up Patrick Waugh a couple months into that season. And once they got Patrick Waugh, they were good to go because they had Joe Sakic, they had Peter Forsberg, they had all the defensive help they needed. They really just needed that top-flight goaltender, and they got that in Patrick Waugh. And the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup in 96. Detroit ended up following with a little bit of revenge the next 2 years, winning back-to-back cups in 1997 and 1998. I think that was one of my favorite eras of hockey, not just because there was a little bit more hitting. It seemed like there was a few more personalities to the game. That was also the stretch where they had the NHL on Fox, which was from 1995 through 1999. And I think that was a pretty big breakthrough for the NHL, particularly because before 1995, you would have games on ESPN. You would have some games on Sports Channel. I mean, Sports Channel had a 4-year run from 1989 through 1992. But there really was a need for national TV hockey broadcasts. ABC kind of did a few games in the 93 and 94 playoffs, but it kind of felt like the NHL kind of took another step. They took kind of that next step when they joined with Fox. And that was about the time when Fox Sports was getting underway with the NFL on Fox. And then in the early 2000s, ABC took over for a 4-year run. And I really think, the NHL's kind of been talking about a golden era. And I think they can make an outstanding case for it, particularly because when you look at the TV deals, TNT, ESPN, I mean, you're talking about TNT doing an outstanding job covering the league. And, with TNT losing the NBA, that just means that their priority in how they cover hockey is just gonna raise that much more. It's going to be that more of a priority for the Turner Sports people. So that's really going to be a big jump for them. And the National Hockey League is really in a great place. You think about those aging legends, Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, Malkin. But it looks like the next generation of the NHL is going to be pretty fun to watch as new superstars emerge. And we see them, it seems like every month. I mean, Connor Bedard and the things he's doing with Chicago. I think even the Utah Hockey Club's got a couple of those potential superstars. I mean, Dylan Guenther, we keep forgetting how young he is. You keep forgetting about how young, a guy like Logan Cooley is. And I really think that there's something about Tij Ginla. I think he's going to be an outstanding NHLer. It's hard to really say. He's only, 17, maybe 18 years old. But I got a feeling he's going to be a superstar in the NHL, just the way his father, Jerome Ginla, was for all those years with the Calgary Flames. Well, there is no description of the game because there is no Flow Sports tonight. There is apparently some bad internet. In fact, no internet in Wichita. I'm not even sure how Wichita is able to get a radio broadcast up, but apparently they got one. And so go to a Mixler to get a play-by-play description from Wichita play-by-play announcer Jason Malls. Looks like there's 8:51 left in the first period, or somewhere around there. 11:29 in, so I guess with about 7.5 minutes left, Craig Armstrong got called for tripping. And that gives Wichita power play. The Thunder's power play this season is 17.3%. Utah's penalty kill is 58.3%. So can the Grizzlies' penalty kill have a big night? I guess we'll just have to keep hitting refresh on our screen to find out. But that's why we're just kind of having a good time talking sports here on a Friday night as Wichita's in the power play for the first time. Still no score. Grizzlies have outshot the Thunder 10-8 as there is a little bit less than maybe 8 minutes left in the first period. It's hard to really say because, they're talking about internet not being able to get a Flow Sports feed up. How are the ECHL off-ice officials able to get the stats on the website? How's Wichita able to get a radio broadcast up? Who really knows? It's just, I guess it just is what it is. So we'll keep everybody that's tuned in updated on what's happening in tonight's game, as we literally just have to refresh the ECHL box score, which is the only way we're able to follow along with what's happening in tonight's game. As looks like late in the power play, actually the power play was over. According to what we're seeing with the play-by-play on the ECHL app, Wichita didn't get a single shot off during their power play. Nolan Burke took a shot 13:55 in, no relation to former Grizzly Nathan Burke, who we might see next week, as the Indy Fuel will be in town. Nathan Burke and Luke Salem, two members of last season's Grizzlies club, are currently with the Indy Fuel. Well, it's 6:25 up and down the Wasatch Front, as we're having a good time here on a Friday night, as Grizzlies are taking on the Wichita Thunder. Both teams will be off Saturday, as there is a concert in Wichita, as originally it was going to be a Wednesday, Friday, Saturday series. On Sunday afternoon, the Grizzlies will be at BOK Center to take on the Oilers. It'll just be a one-game stop, and then the Grizzlies come home to face Indy for a three-game set on Thanksgiving week. So it looks like there's about 6 minutes left in the first period. Nolan Burke took a shot, even strength, as it appears based on the play-by-play of the ECHL app. Grizzlies had a successful penalty kill, and Wichita didn't even get a single shot off in that power play. There's 4:57 left in the first. Still no score between the Grizzlies and the Thunder. We'll come back and talk some sports on the other side. We will go over some Grizzlies trivia, a couple Grizzlies fun facts to talk about, and we'll also go in with a check of the league scoreboard, as well as updates when we get them on this Grizzlies and Thunder game. You're listening to the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Smith's always gives you more ways to save on top of our lower than low prices. And when you download the Smith's app, you can enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons and earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. With a Boost membership, you'll save even more with double fuel points and free delivery. Discover more ways to save big every day. Smith.
Commercial to recreational truck accessories, Mountain Land Truck Outfitters has got what you need. Flatbeds, spray and bed liners, lifts and leveling kits, wheels and tires. Mountain Land Truck Outfitters proudly uses a brand you know and trust. And with our experienced, knowledgeable, and friendly staff, your visit here will be informative and enjoyable. Stop into our convenient location in Provo at 265 South 100 West, or call 801-225-4637 to get a quote for your fleet or individual truck.
Why is Jerry Seiner the #1 Kia store in the Salt Lake region? Selection. We've got over 350 new Kias to choose from. Savings. Shop over 40 new Kia Sportage models and save up to $2,500 off when you buy. Jerry Seiner has been the area's most trusted automotive source for over 40 years. Little wonder then how we've made thousands of friends to last a lifetime. Jerry Seiner Kia, Salt Lake.
Welcome back to Grizzlies Talk. I'm Tyson Whiting. As it appears that there's still no score over at INTRUST Bank Arena, 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first, as Wichita is up to 11 shots to the Grizzlies 10. Remember, the Grizzlies had a 9-4 edge in the shot count, but Wichita's responded with a few, as the Thunder have taken 4 unanswered shots. Nolan Burke, Ryan Finnegan, Peter Bates, and Mikael Stenell have the looks for Wichita. As we'll see if we'll have another scoreless first period. It was scoreless after one period in last night's game. Unfortunately, we don't have a Flow Sports broadcast tonight with all the technology issues that apparently is going over in INTRUST Bank Arena. It appears the Grizzlies have scored a goal. 3:17 left in the first period. Kabori Dunn gets his first as a pro. Save that puck, Jackson Hibbert, as he scored with 3:30 left in the first period. Cade Nelson apparently got the assist. So Cade Nelson gets an assist. Kabori Dunn. And, boy, you knew he was due, and he was paired up tonight with Derek Dashke. And so you know that Dashke's going to get a lot of attention. And with Dashke being that guy that makes everybody better on the line that he's on, Kabori Dunn might end up getting a little bit of a boost being paired up with Dashke, considering that Brian Yu is out with an injury. And Kabori Dunn gets his first pro goal, and it's an absolute shame that it comes on a night where we have no video description of the game. Like, his family would normally be watching this game on Flow Sports, I would imagine. Well, unless they flew to Wichita and saw him tonight, they didn't get to see his first pro goal, and that is an absolute shame. But the Grizzlies do get a 1-0 lead. Wichita has outshot Utah 13-11. But Kabori Dunn gives Utah a 1-0 lead as he scored 16:30 into the first period. So the Grizzlies draw first blood for the first time in this series. There's now 3 minutes and 17 seconds left in the first. Wichita does have a shot advantage, but the Grizzlies have the first goal. Briley Wood leads Utah with 4 shots. Derek Dashke and Kabori Dunn each have 2 shots, with one of Dunn's shots finding the back of the net. Grizzlies also have 1 shot from Armstrong, Aragon, and Cole Gallant. So we are rooting for the Grizzlies over at INTRUST Bank Arena. We are completely in the dark as to what's going on, other than a description on the ECHL app and the ECHL website. As after the Dunn goal, Wichita responded with a 2-shot barrage. Burke took a shot, and the rebound went to Carroll. Schill made that save as well. As there's about 3 minutes left in the first period, Utah is up 1-0 on Kabori Dunn's first goal as a professional. As Dunn played the last couple years at Lindenwood University, and so that's certainly good to see. Kabori Dunn, he's a very young guy, first-year pro. He is only 23 years old. He turned 23 a couple weeks ago on November 10th. Dunn is a native of Mill Bay, British Columbia. And so that's good to see. Dunn played at Lindenwood University, and he also spent some time at the University of Maine for 2 years, from 2020 through 2022. When you think about the ECHL Mountain Division, it's way too early in the season to start talking about the playoff race. But I do think it's interesting to note that it doesn't look like there's a bad team in the mix in the division. You kind of think about Rapid City got off to a tough start up to the season, and yet they beat Kansas City once or twice, and then they swept the Idaho Steelheads last week on the road at Idaho Central Arena in a 3-game series. Rapid City and Utah are currently towards the bottom of the Mountain Division standings. We will see the first place Tulsa Oilers on Sunday afternoon. Kansas City is 8-4-0-1 this year. Wichita is actually off to a pretty decent start to the year. They're 8-7-1. Tahoe has a .636 point percentage, which is actually third best in the Mountain Division with a record of 6-3-1-1. Idaho is a .500 team to start the year. They're 6-6-1. The Allen Americans have managed to win a few here or there. They're 5-3-2 over the last 10 games. They are 5-5-2 this season. Grizzlies are 5-6-1, and Rapid City is 4-6-1-2. So Utah is looking to get back to the 500 mark on the season, as they are 5-6-1. And it's been a little bit of a tough road trip where they are 1-3-1 through the first 5 games. So looks like the first period is about over. Thunder up to 15 shots. Utah's taken 11. But Kabori Dunn, as Utah's lone goal, he scored 16:30 into the first period. Looks like Ryan Finnegan took a shot 18:09 in that Schill made a save on. And Dylan Boucher fired away on Schill with 6 seconds left in the first period, and Schill made the save. So I imagine Adam Schill's had a pretty good first period. He has seen 15 shots from Wichita, and he has saved all 15 of them. So I guess we'll start first intermission coverage on the other side. We'll go over some league scores. We'll take a look at the box score on the ECHL app and figure out what's happening tonight over in Wichita. We'll also go over some league scores, and we will also check in on those who are living the dream, those 2 NHL games tonight. And we'll also talk about some of the fun games that are going to be taking place tomorrow afternoon in terms of the college football scene, as well as tomorrow night as well. we'll talk some Grizzlies hockey as well. Obviously, during the second period, we'll go over some Grizzlies trivia, and we got a few fun facts to talk about as well. After one period over at INTRUST Bank Arena, it's the Grizzlies 1 and the Thunder nothing. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Smith's always gives you more ways to save on top of our lower than low prices. And when you download the Smith's app, you can enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons and earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. With a Boost membership, you'll save even more with double fuel points and free delivery. Discover more ways to save big every day. Smith's, fresh for
commercial to recreational truck accessories, Mountain Land Truck Outfitters has got what you need. Flatbeds, spray and bed liners, lifts and leveling kits, wheels and tires. Mountain Land Truck Outfitters proudly uses a brand you know and trust. And with our experienced, knowledgeable, and friendly staff, your visit here will be informative and enjoyable. Stop into our convenient location in Provo at 265 South 100 West or call 801-225-4637 to get a quote for your fleet or individual.
Why is Jerry Seiner the #1 Kia store in the Salt Lake region? Selection. We've got over 350 new Kias to choose from. Savings. Shop over 40 new Kia Sportage models and save up to $2,500 off when you buy. Jerry Seiner has been the area's most trusted automotive source for over 40 years. Little wonder then how we've made thousands of friends to last a lifetime. Jerry Seiner Kia, Salt Lake.
First intermission over at INTRUST Bank Arena, and the Utah Grizzlies lead 1-0. Hi, everybody. I'm Tyson Whiting. We have no Flow Sports feed tonight. Apparently, there's no Flow Sports broadcast, and because of that, we have no way of describing what's happening over at INTRUST Bank Arena. So we're just talking sports, going over the box score, and we're having a good time here. It's game 6 of 7 straight on the road, and the Grizzlies will be at BOK Center on Sunday afternoon. Hopefully, we'll be able to see the game and describe it to the listening audience. And hopefully people will go on Flow Sports on Sunday and have a chance to view the final game of the Grizzlies road trip. And it's certainly been a long road trip, as the Grizzlies didn't come back after the 3-game series in Allen last week. They stayed over in the Central Time Zone for 3 days before Wednesday's game over in Wichita. Well, it looks like Wichita did outshoot the Grizzlies 15-11. Utah did have a 9-4 edge in the shot count early into the game. It looked like the Grizzlies had taken 9 shots in the first 5.5 minutes of the game. So Wichita responded with quite a few in the second half of the first period. There was one penalty in the first, and it was Craig Armstrong who got a tripping minor 11:29 into the first period. According to the play-by-play on the ECHL app, it appeared that Wichita did not get a shot off, or at least officially a shot on goal during that power play. It's possible they fired it wide a few times, but they did not get credited with any shots on goal during their power play. Grizzlies eventually found the back of the net, 16:30 in, as Kabori Dunn gets his first pro goal. And well, you talk about the sad scenario. If he scores his first pro goal, it would be a moment where he could show his kids, future kids, his grandkids, all his relatives, and there's no video of the game. So it's going to be like a fish story. You know, it's going to start out 10 feet in front of the net, and then 10 years from now, as he tells the story, he's going to be at the blue line, and then, you know, like 20 years down the road, he's going to be at center ice, and he fires a slap shot that just caught Aaron Dell off guard. Kabori Dunn, for the rest of his life, can say he scored his first pro goal on a former NHLer, and Aaron Dell, who over a 7-year stretch played in 130 NHL games, with most of them coming as a member of the San Jose Sharks. Cade Nelson picked up an assist, which is his third of the season. Nielsen now has a point in 4 different games this year. As for Nielsen, this is game 10 for him as a pro, at least in the ECHL level. He did play in 3 EIHL games earlier this season for the team that is coached by his father. And it's interesting enough that, Cade Nilsson also has a brother that plays in the EIHL with the Nottingham Panthers. And Cade Nilsson's brother was actually a teammate with Quinn Wickers, the former Grizzly defenseman who was with the team last year, as well as Adam Burke, who started the season in Nottingham and last week signed with the Grizzlies. Berg in the first period didn't register any shots among the 11 that Utah had there, but Berg is on Utah's second line tonight. We mentioned Ryan Kanasowicz, we might have mentioned it in passing, as Ryan Kanasowicz did switch up his forward lines tonight. Messner, Gallant, and Lebster are the top forward line. Berg, Manning, and Briley Wood are the second line. Aragon, Nilsson, and Buell are Utah's third forward line. 2 fourth-line forwards, and that's Craig Armstrong and Tyson Upper. Dylan Fitz was a late scratch as he is out due to an injury, so the Grizzlies are going with 17 skaters, and they are one short as Dylan Fitz couldn't make it tonight. The other scratches for the Grizzlies are Brian Yoon, who's out for a few weeks, Blake Wells, Nick Pastorius, Kyle Powell, Reed Morrison, and the aforementioned Dylan Fitz. Among the 11 shots, Briley Wood had 4, Kabori Dunn had 2, Derek Dashke also had 2, and then 1 shot each for Armstrong, Aragon, and Cole Gallant. Aaron Dell, the Wichita goaltender, saved 10 of 11, and Adam Scheel had an outstanding first period statistically as he saved all 15. Among Wichita's 15 shots, the league's leading scorer, Mikael Stenell, led the way with 3. Peter Bates, Ryan Finnegan, Joe Carroll, and Nolan Burke each had 2 shots, and then 1 shot each for TJ Lloyd, Dylan Boucher. Boucher is the Wichita captain. Jay Dickman and Jake Wallen. 1 change to the Wichita attack tonight. Wallen is in there replacing number 20, Carter Jones. Jones is a scratch after playing in the first 2 games of the series, and Jake Wallen is in there for Wichita. Wallen has 2 assists in 10 games. So we'll see what happens. I guess we'll find out what happens. We're not going to see what happens. Do note that, we're just, I guess, having some fun here. If you want to catch the play-by-play description of the game, the Wichita Thunder do have a radio broadcast tonight. There is no video broadcast or no stream, nothing of that sorts. But Wichita does have a radio broadcast on their Mixler feed. So that's where you can find the play-by-play description. Jay Smalls, the play-by-play announcer. I think they got a guy named Matt Harding, who's also on those broadcasts as well. Let's go over some league scores. Second intermission, Norfolk leads Reading 3-2. South Carolina has a 2-1 lead after 2 periods against Greenville. Halfway through the second period, Toledo leads Orlando 2-1 as Toledo. Both teams have a power play goal. Orlando is out shooting Toledo 16-15. Brandon Hawkins doesn't have any points for Toledo. He's got 20 points on the season, which ranks second in the league, only trailing Wichita's Mikael Stenell. That game is halfway through the second period. Toledo leads Orlando 2-1. 7 minutes left in the second period. Atlanta leads Jacksonville 2-1. Atlanta is 4-8-2 this season. Jacksonville is 6-3-1. Will Cranley is getting the start in net for the Florida Everblades. Cranley has saved 11 of 12 so far as Kalamazoo got a goal by Cox, 16-26 into the first period. And that game has 7 minutes left in the second. Kalamazoo leads Florida 1-0. After 1 period, no score between Indy and Bloomington. Late first period, the Grizzlies' opponent on Sunday, the Tulsa Oilers, have a 2-0 lead against the Allen Americans. As Weeb and Olsen have the Tulsa goals, 2 first-year Oilers. I think what concerns me is there's a lot of names that look to be very difficult to pronounce on that Tulsa roster. There's only a handful of players you would recognize from a previous Oiler team. Kyler Wall, Doogie Legrone, Mike McKee, and Anthony Costantini are 4 defensemen that returned from last season's club. There aren't that many forwards, though, that are back. Alec Butcher is a familiar name. Tyler Polson is another guy that has been with the Oilers for a few years. But otherwise, there's quite a few different names to the Tulsa attack. They've also got some new goaltenders as well. But the Oilers do look like they're an improved team. As the Oilers so far this season are 8-4-1. They've been about as good at home as they have been on the road. In fact, the Oilers are off to a good start on the road as they are 4-1-1 away from BOK Center. So after one period, actually it's late first period, Tulsa has 2 goals on 6 shots, and they lead the Allen Americans 2-0. And remember, the Grizzlies will face the Tulsa Oilers on Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock, and hopefully we'll have a description of Sunday's game. Grizzlies will be off tomorrow, and I think Tulsa is also off tomorrow, and so both teams will be somewhat fresh heading into tomorrow, into the Sunday game. One other game, it looks like getting underway in a few minutes. It hasn't started yet. Idaho is at Rapid City, and then at 8:30, Kansas City is at Tahoe. That's an interesting matchup. Kansas City is 8-4-0-1 this season. Tahoe in 11 games have a record of 6-3-1-1. Over at INTRUST Bank Arena, Utah leads Wichita 1-0 as Kabori Dunn scored his first pro goal, 16:30 into the second period. We'll come back and go over some NHL scores, maybe some other scores from around the world of sports, and we'll talk some hockey. We'll have Grizzlies trivia as well. Utah leads 1-0 as Kabori Dunn finds the back of the net for the first time as a pro. You're listening to the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Maverick's new bean-to-cup machines always deliver a freshly ground cup of coffee on demand, so you can enjoy any of our premium roasts at their best, day or night, hot or iced. Enjoy a fresh cup today.
Why is Jerry Seiner the #1 Kia store in the Salt Lake region? Selection. Shop over 50 new Kia Sorentos with savings up to $4,500 off at Jerry Seiner Kia, South Jordan.
Every new day is a chance to be kinder to your body and your mind. U of U Health is here to help you build strength and confidence every day. Let us help you be a better you. U of U Health, official health partner for the Utah Jazz, Utah Hockey Club, Utes Athletics, and the Utah Grizzlies. Take the first step today at uofuhealth.org.
Since 1939, America First has helped people start businesses, buy homes and cars, and achieve their financial goals. Today, our top priority is still the financial success of you and your family, which is why we're giving new members $100 when they sign up for a basic savings and checking account, and another $100 when they upgrade to premium checking and enroll in and use direct deposit. So head to americafirst.com today and join the credit union that always puts its members first.
Welcome back to Grizzlies hockey. Utah leads 1-0. Go to the Grizzlies social media account, particularly on X, as they've got a beautiful photo of what we believe is Kabori Dunn scoring his first pro goal. As the Utah Grizzlies X account also said, can't wait to watch the second. There's no video feed of tonight's game. This is literally a Wichita radio-only broadcast. It's kind of a shame that we don't have a way to watch the game. Otherwise, if I had known this was going to happen, I probably would have found a way to get on a plane and gone to Wichita and been able to find a way to describe it. If Wichita can have a radio-style broadcast, even if there's not Flow Sports, we probably could have had one as well. Let's go over some NHL scores. There's only 2 of them tonight, and one of them is starting late. I think that's Buffalo and Anaheim. The NHL game that's going on right now is Winnipeg leading Pittsburgh 3-0. How about Winnipeg? They're 16-3 this season. Pittsburgh's had some goaltending issues, and they are 7-10-4 this season. Tristan Jarry for Pittsburgh has saved 22 of 25 as 3 different forwards have goals for the Jets. They lead 3-0 after 2 periods. And Buffalo is at Anaheim. That game will start in just over an hour from now. 3 college football scores at the half. UTSA, Texas San Antonio, leads Temple 28-17. Early second quarter, Michigan State leads Purdue 7-3. Michigan State is 4-6 this year. Purdue is 1-9. And at 8 o'clock, the 8-2 UNLV Rebels, they take on the 6-4 San Jose State Spartans, as UNLV is favored by 7.5 in tonight's game. And UNLV is actually ranked 24th in the nation. How about the rise of UNLV football? And normally you think about them being kind of a basketball school, especially if you grew up and are a little bit older watching Jerry Tarkanian's UNLV teams. You kind of think about UNLV basketball, but it's the football team that's really emerged in the NIL era. It's not that many games on this Friday night. We had mentioned tomorrow there's a few games. Colorado is at Florida. That's the rematch of the 1996 Stanley Cup Finals. Also at 5 o'clock, the Utah Hockey Club is taking on Pittsburgh. And for the Penguins, that's going to be the second night of a back-to-back. Who knows, maybe Utah can find a way to end the losing streak tomorrow, as Utah Hockey Club has had a little bit of a rough sort of it. And, Connor Ingram is currently on the injured list. Probably more of a short-term injury, but it looks like Veggie will get another start in net for Utah. And really, I think for Utah, this would be an opportunity to kind of break through offensively, as Pittsburgh has had some goaltending issues. In college football, BYU is at Arizona State. That's a 1:30 kickoff on ESPN. Arizona State is a 3-point favorite, and that game's going to go a long way to deciding who goes to the Big 12 championship game. BYU's 9-1, Arizona State's 8-2. Both teams are ranked as BYU's 14th in the nation. Arizona State is 21st. That's going to be a big one at 1:30 over at Sun Devil Stadium, or whatever they've named the thing. At 3 o'clock downtown, the Knicks are in Salt Lake City at Delta Center to take on the Jazz. Knicks are a 9-point favorite in that game, as they feature Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns. That'd be a fun one to watch tomorrow afternoon over at Delta Center. Tomorrow we'll have a busy NHL schedule. At 11 o'clock, the Blackhawks are at the Flyers. At 2 o'clock, the Wild are at the Flames, and the Kraken are at L.A. to take on the Kings. At 4 o'clock is the aforementioned Colorado-Florida battle. At 5 o'clock, Vegas is at Montreal. Vancouver is at Ottawa. Also at 5 o'clock, Boston is at Detroit. Dallas is at Tampa Bay. Utah is at Pittsburgh. New Jersey is at Washington. Also at 5 o'clock, Carolina is at Columbus. And Winnipeg is at Nashville. Well, if you're watching hockey at 5 o'clock, there is no shortage of games to tune into. At 5:30, the Blues are at the Islanders. At 6 o'clock, Buffalo is in the second night of a back-to-back. They take on San Jose. The San Jose Sharks are the NHL affiliate of the Wichita Thunder. And at 8 o'clock, the Rangers are at the Edmonton Oilers. That's all tomorrow with a busy NHL slate. It's a rare Saturday where the Grizzlies don't have a game. It was originally scheduled to be a Wednesday, Friday, Saturday series in Wichita, but a concert came in and took over the building, so the Grizzlies had to move that Saturday game to Thursday against Wichita. We saw the first half of the game, and there were some internet issues that just knocked out the feed, and unfortunately, 24 hours later, the feed still doesn't work. Whatever issues they had over at INTRUST Bank Arena must have been massive, as we were unable to watch this game. And I'm not even sure why I'm, kind of doing a 3-hour talk show, I guess, kind of surrounding this Grizzlies game. It's one of those things that was going to be here anyway, trying to describe the game. We don't have a description. We don't have a way to know what's going on. And we thank whoever is still tuned into this thing. Thank you so much. That's all we can say. We do know that Wichita does have a radio broadcast on Mixlr, and that's where the play-by-play description will be. It might be slightly slanted towards the Wichita Thunder, but we don't have one that can be slightly slanted. We don't have one that can be slanted towards the Grizzlies tonight. So, unfortunately, it is what it is, and this very much is what it is. Hopefully, at Tulsa's BOK Center, they got everything lined up to where we can be able to see and describe the end of the road trip as the Grizzlies take on the Tulsa Oilers. We'll come back and talk some sports. We'll go over Grizzlies trivia, and we'll talk about some of the key players that statistically are playing well for the Grizzlies. We'll head into the second period. Utah leads Wichita 1-0 on the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Every new day is a chance to be kinder to your body and your mind. U of U Health is here to help you build strength and confidence every day. Let us help you be a better you. U of U Health, official health partner for the Utah Jazz, Utah Hockey Club, Utes Athletics, and the Utah Grizzlies. Take the first step today at uofuhealth.org.
Since 1939, America First has helped people start businesses, buy homes and cars, and achieve their financial goals. Today, our top priority is still the financial success of you and your family, which is why we're giving new members $100 when they sign up for a basic savings and checking account, and another $100 when they upgrade to premium checking and enroll in and use direct deposit. So head to americafirst.com today and join the credit union that always puts its members first.
Why is Jerry Seiner the #1 Kia store in the Salt Lake region? Selection. We've got over 350 new Kias to choose from. Savings. Shop over 30 new Kia Seltos models and save up to $2,000 off when you buy. Jerry Seiner has been the area's most trusted automotive source for over 40 years. Little wonder then how we've made thousands of friends to last a lifetime. Jerry Seiner Kia, Salt Lake.
It appears that they are underway in the second period over at INTRUST Bank Arena. Cole Gallant took a shot 18 seconds into the second. A little bit more than a minute later, Wichita got their first shot of the second period as TJ Lloyd took a shot from out near the blue line that Adam Shield made the save on. I guess since it was termed as a non-quality on-net shot, according to the ECHL website, I imagine it was taken from the point, as Lloyd is a defenseman, and Shields so far has had a pretty good night, stopping all 16 that he has seen. Utah leads 1-0 as Kabori Dunn scored 16:30 into the first period. And I guess we'll continue to just follow the box score and give you updates as we can as to what's happening over at Wichita's INTRUST Bank Arena. We don't want to mention it too much, but there is no Flow Sports feed. There's no Flow Sports broadcast. And unfortunately, that was the only way we were able to pick up the game. So we do not have a way to be able to see what's going on over in Wichita. But the Grizzlies are looking to salvage the third game of the series, and we're just going to have some fun here at Maverick Center as we're hanging out near the Grizzlies team store. Hey, if you are in the West Valley area and you got nothing to do, come watch some basketball as the Salt Lake City Stars are in action tonight. G League basketball is here at Maverick Center, and you can watch a fun night of hockey. If you're a college basketball fan, there is quite a few familiar names that you might recognize from colleges like Kentucky or Wisconsin. I know Oscar Schwebele, that great rebounder with Kentucky a few years ago. He's currently on the Salt Lake City Stars roster. It's pretty good action. It's as good as you can get without watching the NBA, and tickets are very affordable. So come on out and watch some basketball tonight. And speaking of affordable tickets, we got that here next week when the Grizzlies take on the Indy Fuel, as Wednesday is going to be a pretty good one. Grizzlies and the Indy Fuel. Get some affordable tickets, UtahGrizzlies.com. Black Friday, we definitely have affordable tickets. $12 tickets. You know that AFCU Friday, and next Friday is another AFCU Friday. But the $12 ticket offer applies to everybody. Special $12 Black Friday ticket offer. It is a whiteout, though, so wear white. If you got a white Grizzlies jersey, that's the one to wear. If you got lucky last Friday, got in line, and you got a Utah Hockey Club white jersey, that's the one to wear on Friday. It is a blackout. It is a Black Friday, but we're having a whiteout. The Grizzlies will be wearing whiteout, especially jerseys. I think it's the second straight year the Grizzlies have to wear white on Black Friday. Last year, it was because the Newfoundland Growlers refused to bring their anything other than their white jerseys. And with the league, it seems like the first half of the season, teams wear white at home, and then the second half of the season, they wear their non-white jerseys. For the Grizzlies, it would be a black jersey. Maybe they can even mix in those cream-colored jerseys. If they wanted to. Indy is a team that wears black, white, and red. So they do have a black jersey in their repertoire. I'm really looking forward to seeing the Indy Fuel in town. I think if I remember right, it's the first time that Indy will be at Maverick Center since November of 2018. And it's always fun to see some new opponents at Maverick Center. Indy's gotten off to a little bit of a slow start this year where they have a record of 4-6-0-1, and they've got a 409 point percentage. Indy is at Bloomington tonight, and obviously we'll go over league scores a little bit later on and check in on the Indy Fuel. Right now, that game is 5 minutes into the second period, and there's still no score. Over at INTRUST Bank Arena, they're now 4 minutes into the second period, and appears that in terms of the shot count, both teams have taken 2 shots in the second period. Cole Gallant and Johnny Fairbrother each have shots for the Grizzlies. TJ Lloyd and Joe Carroll have the 2 shots for the Wichita Thunder. For the game, the Thunder are up to 17 shots. The Grizzlies have 13, and that was something that we were going to keep an eye out for over the last 2 games. Grizzlies have been outshot quite a bit against Wichita. On Wednesday night, Wichita had a 39-28 shot advantage over Utah. Last night, it was 33-23 in favor of the Thunder. The Grizzlies have been a good team when they've outshot opponents this season. Utah's through 12 games this year. They have outshot opponents in 6 occasions, and the Grizzlies are 4-1-1 when outshooting opponents. But that on the other side, that means the Grizzlies are only 1-5 when they have been outshot. So they're about 5 minutes into the second period over in Wichita, and it's still a 1-0 Utah lead. And Kabori Dunn picking up his first pro goal. Certainly, I would say it's great to see, but we didn't see it. Certainly great to hear, and certainly great to find out. As Kabori Dunn is one of those first-year pros, and I imagine as we see it, and we see it every year with rookies coming into this league. As the season progresses, the game starts to slow down more and more for a first-year pro, and they just continue to get better and better. And I think his development is going to be accelerated a little bit this week by pairing up with Derek Dashke. Earlier in the year, it was Brian Yoon that was paired up with Dashke. Unfortunately, Brian Yoon suffered an injury in the first period last Saturday, and he's out a few weeks. And so, Kabori Dunn is now paired up with Derek Dashke, who's been one of the best defensemen in the league. Maybe the only defenseman you could say who has been better is former Grizzly Kyle Mayhew, who's currently with the Fort Wayne Comets. Well, Fort Wayne took a third shot in the second period that was saved by Scheel, as Wichita's up to 3 shots in the second period. It was a shot taken by Peter Bates, 3:21 in. It was a power play, it appears. And Briley Wood got a tripping minor, 3:03 in. And so a power play shot was taken by Bates, 3:21 in. And now it looks like that power play is over. Grizzlies were able to successfully kill the penalty. Utah is 2 for 2 on the penalty kill here so far, as we're about 5 minutes into the second period. Grizzlies still lead 1-0. We'll check in a few minutes and check in on another update on what's going on over in Wichita. Let's go over Grizzlies trivia. It's more of a fun fact than it is a trivia question tonight. I guess the question of this would be, that Michigan goal that was scored in 1996 where the guy was behind the net, picked up the puck off his stick and tucked it into the top corner, near side. What was the name of that guy who scored the Michigan goal? That was in the 1996 NCAA tournament. There is a connection to the Grizzlies with the guy who scored the original Michigan goal back in 1996. We'll give you a couple minutes to think about it. I think one of the great things about this last homestand, which was a 4-game set, 2 games against Allen and then 2 against the Tahoe Night Monsters. What was great to see was the attendance, which really matched up with what we had seen in other Novembers. And obviously, if you've been living under a rock, the National Hockey League is in the Salt Lake Valley. And I think that that's just going to raise the profile of every level of hockey. Not only at the NHL level, obviously, as a lot more people are paying attention with the team being in town. I think the Grizzlies are going to get more attention simply because more people are interested in the sport of hockey. You're going to see, and it's kind of interesting as, we got some breaking news. Looks like Wichita scored a goal. Joe Carroll scored 5:04 in with Jay Dickman getting the assist. It does appear I was wrong on my math. It does appear that that was a power play goal. Wood got the penalty, 3:33 in. Dickman scored 5:04 into the second. So it was a power play goal that was scored by Joe Carroll, with Jay Dickman getting the assist. And that's not really that much of a surprise. Joe Carroll, in the part of the series we were able to see, was outstanding. Joe Carroll looked like he might have been one of Wichita's 2 or 3 best players. And he scores a power play goal, 5:04 into the second period. Briley Wood got a tripping minor, 3:33 in. Well, I thought more time had elapsed than what actually was the case. So Wichita was on the power play, and Carroll scored 5:04 in, with Jay Dickman getting the assist. Both Carroll and Dickman had 1 goal and 1 assist last night's game, and they combined to tie it up at 1. As they scored 5:04 into the second period. We're now about 6 minutes into the second period, skating 5-on-5 with the score tied at 1. But when you think about every pro level, the Grizzlies, they get a boost. And I think you're going to see a lot more education among fans. You're going to see fans that know what they're watching, partly because they watch more hockey, and in particular have watched, games downtown. I think the junior teams, whether it's the Ogden Mustangs, the Utah Outliers, clubs like that, people are going to be paying attention to them a little bit more. It's possible that those teams will be able to get a higher quality of player, especially players that are coming from out of state. I think that you see both teams, both the Outliers and Mustangs, having a lot of success on the ice in their respective leagues, partly because of the interest in hockey in Utah growing a little bit. People from Michigan, they now know of Utah as being a little bit more of a hockey town. You go around the country, what do you know about Utah and Utah sports? We know they got an NHL team. We know they got good hockey down there. And it's only going to continue to grow over the next few years. So it looks like we're about 6 minutes into the second period. It's the Grizzlies 1 and the Thunder 1. As Kabori Dunn scored 6.5 with 3.5 minutes left in the first period. He scored 16:30 in. Wichita got a power play goal by Joe Carroll, 5:04 in. So the Grizzlies are 1 for 2 on the penalty kill tonight, and Utah is yet to go on the power play here in the last of this 3-game series. So with it being about 6.5 minutes into the second period, I imagine this is about a media timeout. So we'll take one and come back and talk some hockey. We'll go over that trivia answer. Who was the name of the guy? What was the name of the guy that scored the Michigan goal back in 1996? And we'll tell you what connection he has to Grizzlies history on the other side. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
From commercial to recreational truck accessories, Mountain Land Truck Outfitters has got what you need. Flatbeds, spray and bed liners, lifts and leveling kits, wheels and tires. Mountain Land Truck Outfitters proudly uses a brand you know and trust. And with our experienced, knowledgeable, and friendly staff, your visit here will be informative and enjoyable. Stop into our convenient location in Provo at 265 South 100 West, or call 801-225-4637 to get a quote for your fleet or individual.
Why is Jerry Seiner the #1 Kia store in the Salt Lake region? Selection. We've got over 350 new Kias to choose from. Savings. Shop over 40 new Kia Sportage models and save up to $2,500 off when you buy. Jerry Seiner has been the area's most trusted automotive source for over 40 years. Little wonder then how we've made thousands of friends to last a lifetime. Jerry Seiner Kia, Salt Lake.
Welcome back to Grizzlies Talk. I'm Tyson Whiting. We are 6.5 minutes into or maybe 7.5 minutes into the second period. Not like we really know. According to the ECHL website, there's 12:25 left in the second period. And we're tied at 1. Kabori Dunn scored 16:30 into the first. It was his first pro goal. Cade Nilsson got an assist. Wichita got a power play as Briley Wood got a tripping minor, 3:33 in. Wood leads Utah with 4 shots on goal so far. Joe Carroll, who, as we mentioned, has been very impressive in this series. He scored with Jay Dickman getting the assists. Joe Carroll last season played with 2 different AHL teams. He was with the Syracuse Crunch in 46 games. He had 11 goals and 11 assists. He actually had a productive American Hockey League season. I think he got traded to San Jose, and he played with the Barracuda in 11 games and had 1 goal and 2 assists. And appears, based on his time in Wichita to start this season that he belongs in the American Hockey League. He's currently on an AHL contract with the San Jose Barracuda, and he's proven to be a next-level player, as Joe Carroll has been a superstar in this series. And he scored on the power play 5:04 into the second period to tie it up at 1. In the second frame, we are 7.5 minutes in. Wichita has outshot Utah 6-3 in the second period, and the Thunder are up to a 21-14 edge on the shot count. James Shearer took a shot 7:35 into the second, and then Jay Dickman got one for Wichita 8:14 into the second period. Let's answer that Grizzlies fun fact / trivia question. Who scored the Michigan goal back in 1996? His name was Mike Legg, Legg, his last name. He scored for Michigan in the 1998 NCAA tournament. It was one of those that it went viral back in the era before things went viral. You know, it was on SportsCenter every other day. You know, people were showing it across the nation. That was about the start of the internet. You know, internet sites would constantly show the Mike Legg goal. The connection he has with the Grizzlies, as he played in 6 games with the IHL's Utah Grizzlies back in the 2001 season. That was the last year of the International Hockey League. And Mike Legg played in 6 games and had 1 assist for the Grizzlies that year. We obviously are talking about Grizzlies trivia all season long, as it's the 30th season of Utah Grizzlies hockey. They had 6 years in the International Hockey League, and they won a Turner Cup. They won the championship. They won it in the 95-96 season. It was actually the second of back-to-back championships for the Grizzlies. They originated in the summer of 1994 as the Denver Grizzlies. They played at McNichols Arena, and they won the championship, but then the Colorado Avalanche moved into town. So the Denver Grizzlies, and in particular the Elmore family, saw that, Salt Lake Golden Eagles were bought and sold. They became the Detroit Vipers. Hey, the Salt Lake market needs a hockey team. So the Grizzlies moved in, and they won a championship that year with Butch Goring, the 95-96 Grizzlies, which had some notable names that still are prominent in the hockey market. Now we got some breaking news, and if you're a Grizzlies fans, it's not good. Wichita scored a second goal to take a 2-1 lead, as finding the back of the net is Kobe Walker. Walker had the game winner 6:03 into the second period on Wednesday. And according to the text I've gotten, as that's one of the only ways we're keeping an eye on this game, it's Kobe Walker giving the Thunder a 2-1 lead. The assists go to Peter Bates and Dominic Don't Call Me Derek Dockery. That was 9:09 into the second period. Thunder are up to 8 shots in the second. The Grizzlies have 3 for the contest. Wichita is up to 23 shots to the Grizzlies 14. As Wichita scored their second unanswered, was a 5-on-5 goal, 9:09 into the second period, as Kobe Walker gets his 7th goal of the season. Walker has an ECHL contract. He previously played at RIT, and this is his first season as a pro. So it looks like the Thunder have taken advantage here in the second period. Statistically, Wichita did outshoot the Grizzlies 15-11, but Utah did have the only goal in the first. And really for the Grizzlies, you know, it's just unfortunately with the struggles the penalty kill has had to start the season, they're just in a spot where they're going to have to find a way to just buckle down, stay out of the penalty box, and climb back into it. Last year, the Grizzlies were a pretty good come-from-behind team, and they're going to have to do so once again tonight, as looks like we're about halfway through, and we are at the halfway point. Just less than 10 minutes left in the second period. Wichita leads Utah 2-1. And unfortunately, we're kind of turning into a combination of a talk show with a box score recap summary of tonight's game, because we are unable to see the game. There is no Flow Sports broadcast. There are massive internet issues at the beautiful INTRUST Bank Arena. So we have no way of viewing tonight's game. So since we're not privileged enough to be in Wichita, Kansas, this is how we're doing things. Now, we could have done no broadcast. We could have just said, forget it, and gone out and watched the basketball game over on the Maverick Center floor. But, we said, what the heck? Not going to have a game tomorrow, as the Grizzlies will be off. They'll play Sunday. So might as well have some fun and talk some sports and talk Grizzlies hockey. and kind of work our way through this game. So we're halfway through the second period, and Wichita leads 2-1. It looks like they've changed the assist. Actually, now it looks like it's going to be Dockery's assist. There is no 46 on the Wichita roster. Dockery and Bates with the assist on the Kobe Walker goal that was scored a little bit more than 9 minutes into the second period. Well, we'll come back and talk some more hockey on the other side. We will talk about some of the first-year players for the Utah Grizzlies who have all stepped up and played pretty well. We'll talk about that in 1 minute, as right now Wichita leads Utah 2-1 halfway through the second period. You're listening to Grizzlies Talk on the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Thanks to Les Schwab Tires, I'm a confident backseat driver, but Mom's a little stressed about spending. Remember, breathe in. Now watch your speed and breathe out. Good. Even though we're watching our wallets, Les Schwab is still watching out for our safety. So turn here.
Help keep drivers and backseat drivers safe with Les Schwab Tires.
Why is Jerry Seiner the #1 Kia store in the Salt Lake region? Selection. We've got over 350 new Kias to choose from. Savings. Shop over 30 new Kia Seltos models and save up to $2,000 off when you buy. Jerry Seiner has been the area's most trusted automotive source for over 40 years. Little wonder then how we've made thousands of friends to last a lifetime. Jerry Seiner Kia, South Jordan.
We're looking forward to the 6-game homestand for the Utah Grizzlies over the next 2 weeks. They have a 3-game set against the Indy Fuel next Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, with the only day off next week between those 3 days is Thanksgiving. And we're certainly looking forward to the 3-game set against Nathan Burke and Luke Salem and company. As Burke and Salem are both out there for Indy, but right now, after 1.5 periods, it looks like they're halfway through the second. No score between Indy and Bloomington. One former Grizzly on the Bloomington roster, former forward Max Neal, is out there for Bloomington. There aren't that many shots on either side. Indy's taken 17 shots. Bloomington has 7. One of the notable names to the Bloomington roster is former Tulsa star Eddie Matsushima. He is currently a member of the Bloomington club. In mid-January, the Grizzlies will be in Bloomington to take on the Bison in a 3-game series. And boy, hopefully we can get a little bit of a donation, maybe some collections, and see if we can find a way to get out there. As before they play Bloomington, they got 1 game over in Cincinnati. Hopefully we can find a way to get out there for those road games, just in case we have a scenario like we've had here tonight where we're unable to view tonight's hockey game. So it looks like right now it's Wichita 2, Utah 1, as they're working their way through the second period. Now there's 8:42 left in the second period, and it's progressing even further. 7:43 left in the second period. Thunder still lead the Grizzlies 2-1, as Wichita has scored 2 unanswered in the second period, with Joe Carroll and Kobe Walker finding the back of the nets. We mentioned some of the first-year pros for the Grizzlies. Kabori Dunn's one of them. He's got Utah's lone goal. Among the forwards that are new to pro hockey, Craig Armstrong spent last year in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. He had 17 goals and 22 assists in 67 games last year. He also played pretty well in the postseason last year, where he had 7 points, 2 goals, and 5 assists in 8 games. He also spent 5 seasons in the Western Hockey League. He had 20 goals and 36 assists in 4 seasons with Prince George from 2018 through 2022. And he spent the 22-23 season with the Red Deer Rebels, where he scored 34 points, 11 goals, and 23 assists. And he was a plus 14 in 65 games. Armstrong's one of those guys. He's not very big. He's about 5'7", 5'8", somewhere around there, but he's a guy that'll battle you along the boards. He's got that quick burst, and Armstrong's going to be a pretty good pro. Cameron Buell, you talk about pretty good signings after the season started. I look at 2 of them. You know, Adam Berg that signed last week, we know what he did last season with the Grizzlies, scoring 23 points in 50 games, and Berg scored on his first shift last Friday, and Buell put together a pretty strong first impression over in Rapid City in his first week as a Grizzly. Buell's got 3 goals this season, all of them assisted by Dylan Fitz. Buell played at St. Lawrence University last year, and in 26 games had 2 goals and 4 assists. He's 5'10", 183 pounds. And I imagine he's doing a good job out there tonight. We don't really know, but Buell's a guy that, for some reason, I keep thinking, it's probably my favorite memory so far this season, that third period against Tahoe on Saturday, November 9th, where Tahoe took a 4-3 lead after Utah really dominated the first period. Tahoe played well in the second, and then they took a 4-3 lead early in the third period, and then Cameron Buell and Dylan Fitz just kind of took over the game. Buell scored 2 goals that were assisted by Fitz, the game-tying goal, and then the game winner halfway through the third period. Then Fitz, on a great effort with about a minute left in regulation that night, picked up an empty netter to complete the scoring. Breaking news, Grizzlies score! Grizzlies tie it up as Briley Wood gets his second of the year, as looks like the assists go to Derek Dashke and Luke Manning. So Briley Wood appears to have found the back of the net for the Grizzlies with about 6.5 minutes left in the second period. As we got a text that said that Briley Wood found the back of the net. And for the Grizzlies, we talked about those first-year pros. Wood's one of them. He's 21 years old, 6'3", and a little bit more than 200 pounds. He's a guy that can get out in front of the net. He's got a pretty good shot from either circle. He's somebody that can play a physical game. He got in a fight earlier in the road trip when the Grizzlies were over in Allen. Wood's one of those guys, and we mentioned it, with all the first-year pros, where once the game slows down for them just a little bit, things are going to work pretty well. Now, it looks like Wood took 2 shots. He took 2 shots there, 1 shot blocked by Dell. He might have gotten his own rebound based on the description on the play-by-play, and Wood connected on the second shot. So Briley Wood gets his second of the year. Luke Manning gets his 7th assist of the campaign. And what do you know, another point for Derek Dashke, as he now has 12 assists on the season as he takes over a team lead. Coming into play tonight, Dashke and Gallant were tied with 11 assists. So Dashke picks up his 12th of the season, and Dashke's point-scoring streak extends to 5 games. Dashke stays in second place among league defensemen as Kyle Mayhew started the night with 16 points. Dashke's now got a point in 10 of 13 games. So Derek Dashke continues to do some good things for the Grizzlies as Briley Wood tied it up 13-15 into the second period with Luke Manning and Derek Dashke getting the assists. So it looks like it's a pretty active second period. Wichita scored twice. Grizzlies find the back of the net with Wood. And right now, with 6 minutes and 45 seconds left in the second period, it's the Grizzlies 2 and the Thunder 2. We'll come back in a couple minutes and talk some more hockey on the other side, as looks like they got a good one going at INTRUST Bank Arena, as the Grizzlies have goals from a pair of first-year pros. Kabori Dunn 16:30 into the first with his first pro goal. Briley Wood gets his second pro goal, 13-15 into the second period with Manning and Dashke getting the assists. This is the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Why is Jerry Seiner the #1 Kia store in the Salt Lake region? Selection. Shop over 50 new Kia Sorentos with savings up to $4,500 off at Jerry Seiner Kia, South Jordan.
When you buy tires at Les Schwab, you're getting more than just tires. You're getting America's best tire warranty, 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. So if something happens to your tire on the road, we'll fix it, or we'll replace it, no questions asked. Other places make you pay extra for that kind of protection, but at Les Schwab, it's included with every set of tires, because more warranty means less worry, and nobody stands by their tires like Les Schwab. Get more.
Every new day is a chance to be kinder to your body and your mind. U of U Health is here to help you build strength and confidence every day. Let us help you be a better you. U of U Health, official health partner for the Utah Jazz, Utah Hockey Club, Utes Athletics, and the Utah Grizzlies. Take the first step today at uofuhealth.org.
It's the Grizzlies 2 and the Thunder 2. As it looks like right now there is 4 minutes and 4 seconds left in the second period. And we'll check in a few minutes if there's anything that happens between the Grizzlies and Thunder. As this is the sixth of 7 straight road games for the Grizzlies. They will be at Tulsa's BOK Center on Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Well, just as we were talking about first-year pros having an impact, we talked about Armstrong and Buell. Briley Wood ends up scoring. As we mentioned, only 21 years old, and he's a guy that can score in a variety of ways. Kind of reminds me of a nicer version of Cameron Wright. You remember Wright led the Grizzlies in points a couple years ago. And what really impressed me about Cameron Wright, who a couple months ago actually signed a one-year NHL deal with the Edmonton Oilers, is Wright was really relentless at getting in front of the net, paying the price, and working to be physical and getting into those scoring areas. He wasn't a guy that was just going to kind of hang out the perimeter, get the puck, and then kind of fire a hope and a prayer towards the net. Well, Cameron Wright would get down, he would get dirty, he'd get a little bit physical at times. He'd kind of flop around in front of the net, but he would find a way to pay the price to get there because he knew that that's where goals were going to be scored. And for Briley Wood, it seems like he's got that same mindset. He knows that he knows where the money's at. Somebody asked once, there was this great, I'm not sure great's the right word, but there was this serial bank robber, that eventually got caught, and somebody interviewed him once, and they asked, well, why do you rob banks? He said, well, that's where the money is. And, guys like Cameron Wright a couple years ago, Briley Wood this year, well, why are you going to try to pay the price and get out in front of the net? That's where the money's at. So Briley Wood getting his second goal, and it appeared based on the play-by-play on the ECHL app, it was on a rebound. He took one shot. It was saved by Dell, got it back, and shot again. And that's how Utah tied it up as he scored 13-15 into the second. Looks like the Grizzlies got a few shots up. Chase Hartje, 14-42 in. He's a first-year pro. Mick Messner took back-to-back shots, 1:15:23 in and then 15:56 in. As looks like now there's about 2 or 3 minutes left in the second period. And the Grizzlies, after falling behind 2-1, looks like they put together a pretty good rally. There's now 2.5 minutes left in the second period. We're tied at 2. Shots are pretty close to even in the second period. Wichita's taken 10, and the Grizzlies have 9. And, what's going to end up making the difference in the game? Could be the person that's willing to pay the price in front of the net, because that's where the money's at. Reed Lepster is another one of those first-year guys, and he made a pretty strong first impression. He's a guy that's got a pretty good shot, and tonight Lepster, at least to start the game, was lined up on the Grizzlies' top line with Mick Messner and Cole Gallant. That's an interesting line because you got 3 players that are a bit different in terms of their style of play. Cole Gallant is that center that's a great distributor. He doesn't have any goals this year, but he's got 11 assists. And when you got Messner on the left wing, who can fire the puck from anywhere, Messner's got 5 goals this season. He's probably going to have over 20 if he plays in every game like he did last year. And Reed Lepster from that right side, he's got a pretty quick wrist shot. And that was one of the things I noticed even on the first day of practice, is that Lepster is one of those guys that his wrist shot got on goaltenders in a hurry. And if a goaltender hasn't seen it yet, he can get handcuffed by one of those Reed Lepster shots. And I think that's a pretty good line. And if Ryan Kanaswich decides to keep that 3-man unit together, Messner, Gallant, and Lepster, I imagine they're going to do quite a bit of damage. Looks like Jeremy Bushler gave a fan a souvenir from his own zone, 16:49 in, 2 minutes for delay of game. It does look like the Grizzlies don't even want to guess. I miscalculated earlier in the second period, but it does look like the Grizzlies are in the middle of their first power play of the game as Jeremy Bushler gets 2 minutes for delay of game, 16:49 into the second period as we're tied at 2. Late in the second, we will recap the first 20 minutes in total in a few minutes once we hit the intermission. As Utah's looking to salvage the third game of the series. Wichita won 5-2 on Wednesday. And then last night, the Thunder got a 4-1 victory. It looks like Jay Dickman took a quality shot shorthanded 17:39 in that Schill made the save on as they continue to play with about 2.5 minutes left in the second period. Another guy that is a first-year pro, well, probably 2 or 3 more forwards there, first-year pros. Tyson Upper picking up his first pro points last night in the Aragon second-period goal. He's 22 years old, played at the University of Calgary for 4 years. He was a teammate with James Shearer for 1 season, and Upper's one of those guys born and raised in Calgary. He's a pretty good player along the boards. I saw him win a few of those battles, and Tyson Upper, somebody. He's got a great first name as well. And I think Tyson Upper, as the season goes on, we're going to see a bit of an impact. And maybe next week against Indy will be the breakthrough performances of Tyson Upper. Cade Nelson's an interesting story. His father was a great player in the minor leagues. Also spent a lot of time in the EIHL, as Nelson is from Nottingham, England. He played for his father, Corey Nelson, who's currently the head coach of the Glasgow Clan. Cade Nelson played in 4 games with them earlier this season, scoring 1 assist. The EIHL is really a place where you see a ton of former ECHL players. It seems like they go from the ECHL, they figure there's a little bit more money over in the EIHL, and they go over to Europe. That's where Adam Berg went to start the year. James Shearer played there last season. In fact, a couple years ago, Grizzlies' current assistant coach, Christian Horn, was an assistant coach for one of the teams over there. And Cade Nelson, having some EIHL experience, it seems like he's somebody that, he's taken some of the big face-offs for Ryan Kanasowicz. It seems like he got some overtime shifts last week against Allen. He has somebody that I think as the season progresses, he's going to gain Ryan Kanasowicz's trust more and more. Reed Morrison hasn't played in a game yet. Morrison signed with the Grizzlies a couple weeks ago. Morrison is a big 6'3", 200-pound forward. He played last year at the University of Western Ontario and 23 games at 6 goals and 6 assists. So it'll be interesting next week when the Grizzlies are home against Indy if Reed Morrison makes his Grizzlies debut. He was in training camp with the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, and he was released in late October. Looks like at the tail end of Utah's power play, Reed Lepster got a quality shot on Aaron Dell that was 18:41 in. Dell made the save as we stay a 2-2 game with 27 seconds left in the second period. If you're thinking about leadership among the Grizzlies blue line, you got some good ones. You got Brian Yoon, who was Colorado College's captain a couple years ago. You have Gianni Fairbrother, who's the current Grizzlies captain. Fairbrother was injured and missed the entire 2022-23 season. He was also hurt most of last year as well. Fairbrother, who just completed a 3-year NHL entry-level contract, is currently on an ECHL deal, and it looks like he's going to be off to a pretty strong start this season. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what a full year with Gianni Fairbrother looks like, because he's already got 5 goals this season. He's somebody that makes good decisions with the puck. He's 6 feet and a strong 204 pounds. And I think this is going to be the breakout pro season for Gianni Fairbrother, and we're already seeing it here through 12 games. James Shearer is about as reliable as it comes, 27 years old, 3rd full season as a pro, and most of the year he's been paired up with Gianni Fairbrother. That's been a strong defensive pairing. And I think as the season goes on, and in particular when you start seeing some more close games, that defensive pairing of Fairbrother and Shearer are going to come in handy for Ryan Kanasowicz's crew. Well, it looks like the second period is now over as we have hit intermission. It's the Grizzlies 2 and the Thunder 2. We will recap the first 2 periods of play, go over some league scores. We'll go over the league standings in the other divisions other than the Mountain Division. As we went over that, we might go over the Mountain Division standings once again as well. And we'll check some other scores from around the world of sports. As Utah and Wichita are tied at 2 after 2 periods, you're listening to Grizzlies Talk on the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Since 1939, America First has helped people start businesses, buy homes and cars, and achieve their financial goals. Today, our top priority is still the financial success of you and your family, which is why we're giving new members $100 when they sign up for a basic savings and checking account, and another $100 when they upgrade to premium checking and enroll in and use direct deposit. So head to AmericaFirst.com today and join the credit union that always puts its members first.
Why is Jerry Seiner the #1 Kia store in the Salt Lake region? Selection. We've got over 350 new Kias to choose from. Savings. Shop over 30 new Kia Seltos models and save up to $2,000 off when you buy. Jerry Seiner has been the area's most trusted automotive source for over 40 years. Little wonder then how we've made thousands of friends to last a lifetime. Jerry Seiner Kia, Salt Lake.
Smith's always gives you more ways to save on top of our lower than low prices. And when you download the Smith's app, you can enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons and earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. With a Boost membership, you'll save even more with double fuel points and free delivery. Discover more ways to save big every day. Smith's, fresh.
Now in the second intermission over at INTRUST Bank Arena, and this has been maybe one of the longer nights I've ever had. Unfortunately, internet issues have made it so there is no Flow Sports broadcast tonight. Doesn't even look like there's any sort of possibility that one might emerge. So it looks like, unfortunately, we have no way of watching the game. We only have the box score and maybe a couple texts and just a bunch of other things. To try to kind of piece the puzzle together. I almost wish that among the few people that are hanging out at BOK Center in attendance, that somebody just, takes a camera, maybe takes a phone and just starts, giving us some sort of footage. Like, can we get like some sort of rogue video feed of this game that maybe we can find a way to describe on? I don't know. It's just, I guess it just is what it is. We're, left in the dark here in the Salt Lake Valley, as we just have no way of describing the game. So we're just pretty much doing a talk show with a little bit of a few updates as we get them as to what's happening over at INTRUST Bank Arena. Well, the Grizzlies scored first, 16:30 into the contest as Kabori Dunn picked up his first pro goal. I wish we had some sort of description as to how he scored, where he scored from, but he scored. With Cade Nilsson getting the assists. And for the Grizzlies, I kind of wonder, they took 11 shots in the first, 11 in the second. It'd be interesting to kind of figure out where a lot of those shots are coming from. Are they coming from the perimeter? Are they getting a lot of traffic out in front of the net? I think when the Grizzlies are playing a strong north-south game, and we saw it, I think, a little bit in the first period on Wednesday, and we really saw it in stretches in Allen, or when the Grizzlies got traffic and in front of the net and really made life tough on that opposing goaltender, Grizzlies were able to have some success. I kind of wonder if that's the case here tonight, if the Grizzlies are getting a lot of traffic out in front of Wichita goaltender Aaron Dell. So Dunn scored with Nelson getting the assist. Cade Nilsson now has 1 goal and 3 assists on the season. Utah took a 1-0 lead late in the first period. It stayed a 1-0 game throughout the remainder of the first. Wichita outshot Utah 15-11 in the first period, but the Grizzlies have a 1-0 lead. Wichita got a power play early in the second period as Briley Wood got a tripping minor, 3:33 in, and late in the power play, it was Joe Carroll getting his 5th of the year with Dickman and TJ Lloyd getting the assists. And if we're talking about stars for Wichita in this series, boy, Joe Carroll has really made a big impact. Him and Jay Dickman have probably been Wichita's 2 best forwards so far in this series. The Thunder took a 2-1 lead when Kobe Walker scored 9:09 in. It's Walker's 7th of the year, and it's his 2nd in this series. He scored what turned out to be the game winner, 6:03 into the second period on Wednesday night. Peter, don't call me Patrick Bates, picked up an assist. Braden Hachey also got an assist on the Walker goal, 9:09 into the second. Grizzlies tied it up 13-15 in as Briley Wood scored his second of the year. Luke Manning and Derek Dashke got the assist. And we had mentioned traffic in front of the net. On the ECHL website, they kind of have a play-by-play section where they just kind of describe mostly shots, penalties, things that get inserted into the ECHL game box sheet. It mentioned that Wood took a shot, Dell made the save, and then Wood got another shot at that same time, 13-15 in, and scored on it. So it might have been one of those where Wood took a shot, bounced off of Dell, Wood got it back, and then scored on the second chance, based on the description that we have on the ECHL stat sheet on their play-by-play. So I guess that's the only way we can imagine on that scenario that Wood had scored. And that really wouldn't be that much of a surprise considering that Briley Wood even mentioned it during media day that that's where he's going to score a lot of his goals are out in front of the net. He scored 13-15 in, an even strength goal with Manning, and Derek Dashke gave him the assist. And Dashke just continues game in and game out to make an impact for the Grizzlies. He had an assist last night in the second period in Utah's lone goal that was scored by Aaron Aragon. And now Dashke's got an assist in 5 straight games. Nobody scored the rest of the second period. Utah did get a power play as Jeremy Bushler gave a fan a souvenir from his own zone. 16:49 into the second period. He got a 2-minute delay of game penalty. On that power play, Jay Dickman had a pretty good look. I think he had the first shot taken by either team on that power play, and that was 17:39 in. So 50 seconds into the Grizzlies power play, the first shot was taken by a Thunder player. Late in the power play, Reed Lepster got a shot 18:41 in, and then with 15 seconds left, when both teams were skating 5-on-5, Gianni Fairbrother got a shot on Aaron Dell. It appears to be a good goaltending matchup. Adam Sheila saved 24 of 26. Wichita's Aaron Dell has saved 20 of 22. So it's anybody's game. Win the third period and win the game, as we're tied at 2 heading into the third period. We'll come back and go over some league scores as well as check in on those 2 NHL games tonight. We will also talk some sports as we're through 2 periods over at INTRUST Bank Arena. It's the Grizzlies 2 and the Thunder 2. You're listening to the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
From commercial to recreational truck accessories, Mountain Land Truck Outfitters has got what you need. Flatbeds, spray and bed liners, lifts and leveling kits, wheels and tires. Mountain Land Truck Outfitters proudly uses a brand you know and trust. And with our experienced, knowledgeable, and friendly staff, your visit here will be informative and enjoyable. Stop into our convenient location in Provo at 265 South 100 West or call 801-225-4637 to get a quote for your fleet or individual truck.
Why is Jerry Seiner the #1 Kia store in the Salt Lake region? Selection. We've got over 350 new Kias to choose from. Savings. Shop over 40 new Kia Sportage models and save up to $2,500 off when you buy. Jerry Seiner has been the area's most trusted automotive source for over 40 years. Little wonder then how we've made thousands of friends to last a lifetime. Jerry Seiner Kia, Salt Lake.
Thanks to Les Schwab Tires, I'm a confident backseat driver, but Mom's a little stressed about spending. Remember, breathe in. Now watch your speed and breathe out. Good. Even though we're watching our wallets, Les Schwab is still watching out for our safety. So turn here.
Help keep drivers and backseat drivers safe with Les Schwab Tires.
Welcome back to the Grizzlies Hockey Network. I'm Tyson Whiting. It's the last of a 3-game series between the Grizzlies and the Thunder. Utah's looking to salvage a third game. Wichita won 5-2 on Wednesday and 4-1 last night. Some league scores. Looks like a couple games have gone final. Jeff Carr's Norfolk Admirals get a 4-3 overtime victory over the Reading Royals. And even though Norfolk has had some goaltending issues early in the season, the Admirals get a 29 save performance from DeVincentis, one of their new goaltenders. And it looks like Reifenberger gets the overtime game winner 320 in as Norfolk defeats Reading 4-3. The other game that's gone final, Greenville overcomes a 2-1 deficit. They defeat South Carolina 3-2. A late third period, Toledo leads Orlando 5-1. And just in case there's a Wichita Thunder fan that's tuned in, let's take a look at Toledo's stat sheet. Brandon Hawkins has 3 assists. He's a +2. He has 4 shots. Hawkins also has a slashing minor to his name tonight. And that's notable because Brandon Hawkins yesterday was tied with Mikael Stenell of Wichita for the league lead in points. Stenell scored a goal to overtake Hawkins. Stenell had 21 points coming into tonight. Hawkins has 23. Mikael Stenell has no points tonight, but Brandon Hawkins has 3 as Hawkins overtakes Mikael Stenell for the league lead in points with 23 on the season as he has 3 assists as Toledo leads Orlando 5-1. Will Cranley looks like he's playing a good game as Florida leads Kalamazoo 2-1. That game late in the third period with about 6 minutes left. Now it's actually tied at 2. It appears Kalamazoo has just scored to tie it up. Cranley has saved 19 of 21. Lemieux for Kalamazoo has saved 29 of 31. Former Grizzly Joey Ratz is a +1 and has 1 shot for Kalamazoo. So that game is tied at 2 as the Wings just scored 13:55 into the third period. Other action in the league, Atlanta leads Jacksonville 2-1 with 6 minutes left in the third period. After 2 periods, Indy and Bloomington are scoreless. Late second period, Tulsa leads Allen 4-3. Tulsa will be the Grizzlies' opponent on Sunday afternoon. It looks like Alec Butcher has scored a goal for Tulsa. There's goals by 3 other Oilers. They're in their first year with the Oilers. Spencer Asachuk, Easton Brodzinski, and former Thunder forward Braden Watts have the American goals. Looks like both teams have taken 24 shots through 2 periods. Allen is 2 for 4 on the power play. Tulsa is 0 for 1. So what's keeping the Americans in the game is their special teams with 2 power play goals. But Tulsa is winning the battle 5-on-5. And after 2 periods, the Oilers lead the Americans 4-3. First intermission over at the Monument. Hey, last week, Rapid City won 3 straight games against the Idaho Steelheads. Well, tonight, Idaho gets some revenge. Jade Miller, Thomas Caron, and Ty Pelton-Bice each have goals. Pelton-Bice has 2 of them for the Steelheads. And after 1 period, it's the Steelheads 4 and Rapid City nothing as that game is played at the Monument. And as we mentioned, Idaho looking for a little bit of revenge as Rapid City won 3 road games over at Idaho Central last week. A game that will get underway in about 45 minutes from now. Kansas City is at Tahoe. And I guess that game will be on Flow Sports, and you can watch that one. Unfortunately, you can't watch a Grizzlies game tonight on Flow Sports. And what's the shame of it is that is the only way we were able to get any sort of picture as to what's happening with the Grizzlies game. So we're just kind of doing a talk show type of thing and kind of going over the best we can, just what's happening in tonight's game. We're tied at 2 between the Grizzlies and the Thunder. It's a very light night of NHL action. There's only 2 NHL games tonight. I think one gets started in about a half hour. That is Buffalo and Anaheim. The other game tonight has gone final as Winnipeg gets another victory. They defeat Pittsburgh 4-1. Nino Niederreiter scored in the first period. Looks like Winnipeg also got goals from 3 different players. Kyle Connor scored an empty netter late in the third period with his 13th of the year. Michael Bunting had the only Pittsburgh goal. Pittsburgh will play a back-to-back as tomorrow they will host the Utah Hockey Club. It will be the first ever meeting between Utah and Pittsburgh as tomorrow has a very busy NHL slate. The Grizzlies NHL affiliate, the Colorado Avalanche, are on the road as they take on the defending champion Florida Panthers. as Colorado is 11-9 this season. Florida is 12-7-1. At 11 o'clock, Chicago is at Philadelphia, and these are Saturday games, which are going to be played tomorrow. Minnesota is at Calgary at 2 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, or also at 2 o'clock, is Seattle at the LA Kings. Many 5 o'clock starts, including Vegas at Montreal. Vancouver is at Ottawa. Boston is at Detroit. That will be Boston's second game with Joe Sacco as their interim head coach. Also at 5 o'clock, Dallas is at Tampa Bay. Utah is at Pittsburgh. Both teams have 7 wins this season. Utah is 7-9-3. Pittsburgh is 7-10-4. Devils are at the Capitals. Carolina is at Columbus. Carolina is 14-5 this year. And the Jets, who are now 16-3, they take on Nashville at 5:30. The Blues are at the Islanders at 6 o'clock. Buffalo, in the second game of a back-to-back, they are at San Jose. The Sharks are 6-11-5 this year. San Jose's ECHL affiliate is the Wichita Thunder. And at 8 o'clock, the Rangers are at the Edmonton Oilers. There's only one game on Sunday, and it's Utah at Toronto. That'll be the Grizzlies' first game in Toronto to take on the Maple Leafs. That should be an interesting one. Toronto is 12-6-2 on the season. Well, it looks like the third period will get underway shortly. Unfortunately, there's no way to describe it, but we'll see if we can periodically give some updates. We'll see if we can come up with something fun to talk about as Utah and Wichita are tied at 2 heading into the third period. You've been listening to the Intermission Report as it's Grizzlies Talk here on the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Every new day is a chance to be kinder to your body and your mind. U of U Health is here to help you build strength and confidence every day. Let us help you be a better you. U of U Health, official health partner for the Utah Jazz, Utah Hockey Club, Utes Athletics, and the Utah Grizzlies. Take the first step today at uofuhealth.org.
Since 1939, America First has helped people start businesses, buy homes and cars, and achieve their financial goals. Today, our top priority is still the financial success of you and your family, which is why we're giving new members $100 when they sign up for a basic savings and checking account, and another $100 when they upgrade to premium checking and enroll in and use direct deposit. So head to americafirst.com today and join the credit union that always puts its members first.
Why is Jerry Seiner the #1 Kia store in the Salt Lake region? Selection. We've got over 350 new Kias to choose from. Savings. Shop over 30 new Kia Seltos models and save up to $2,000 off when you buy. Jerry Seiner has been the area's most trusted automotive source for over 40 years. Little wonder then how we've made thousands of friends to last a lifetime. Jerry Seiner Kia, Salt Lake.
It appears that they have started action in the third period as the clock starts to move. There's 19 minutes and 46 seconds left in the third period, and the Grizzlies got the first shot of the third as McMessner had a quality look on Aaron Dell. It appears that Dell has made the save, and he's a pretty interesting story. Aaron Dell is towards the tail end of his career. He was with the Grizzlies. I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of fans that have followed the team for over a decade that know about the goaltending tandem in the 2013-2014 season of Aaron Dell and Igor Bobkov. Both guys played in 29 games that season, and both had pretty identical stats. The goals against average is somewhere around 2. They both had pretty similar save percentages of around .920. I think one had a .921, the other had a .920. Both guys had pretty similar win-loss records. It wasn't a team that scored a bunch of goals, but they were in every game because they had that goaltending duo. Some would probably tell you that Bobkov was maybe the better of the two goaltenders, even though he ended up spending a lot of years in Russia in the KHL, and obviously Aaron Dell ended up spending 7 seasons in the National Hockey League, most of them with the San Jose Sharks. Dylan Boucher took a shot 25 seconds into the third period. We're still tied at 2, 25 seconds into the third, as Adam Scheel appears to have played a solid game. At the very least, he's kept the Grizzlies in it. Scheel came into play tonight, leading the league in saves and minutes played. He's been a workhorse since the Grizzlies' 13th game this season, and Shield is making his 11th start. It's kind of fun. We've been thinking about it a little bit this week, the history of Grizzlies goaltenders, and part of that is because of Trent Miner last week getting called up to the NHL. He appeared in relief and played the last two periods last Friday against the Washington Capitals. And so it kind of had us thinking about the history of Grizzlies goaltenders. And really it starts with that first season in Utah where the Grizzlies won a championship. And the headline name, it seemed like everybody was talking about Scott Arnold, Andy Brickley. Arnold's currently the head coach with the Winnipeg Jets, who are 16-3 this season. And Arnold's got to be a strong candidate, at least early in the season, to be the coach of the year. And Andy Brickley obviously is a prominent hockey name. He was 34 years old during that 95-96 season. So he was towards the end of his career. And Andy Brickley obviously has been the longtime TV analyst for the Boston Bruins. But Brickley and Arnold were the top two scorers in the postseason for the Grizzlies. Arnold had 17 points, 10 goals, and 7 assists. Brickley had 19 points to lead the Grizzlies in their championship run, 6 goals and 13 assists. And they were just outstanding, both players. And it's kind of fun. You think back, that was almost 30 years ago when the Grizzlies won that championship. And still, you got prominent NHL figures. The goaltender that year, we've been talking about goaltending, was Tommy Salo. It was the only year that Salo played with the Grizzlies. He appeared in 45 games. He had a record of 28, 15-2, but it was really the postseason where he really shined. He played in 22 postseason games. He actually had 24 playoff penalty minutes that year for the Grizzlies. He had 1 assist, and he was just outstanding. He played in just about every playoff game for the Grizzlies that year. In the IHL playoffs, they got to the finals and swept the Orlando Solar Bears. Yes, that's the same Orlando Solar Bears. They're currently in the league that the Grizzlies are in. But Tommy Salo, he appeared in 65 games with the Denver Grizzlies, and then obviously the first year in Utah led him to a championship. So it wasn't just a championship in Utah. He was a back-to-back IHL champion, and then he played in 10 games with the Islanders that year as well, kind of in the middle of that Grizzlies season. And then the following year, he was with the Islanders for good. He spent, I think, 3 more seasons with the Islanders. In total, he appeared in games with the Islanders for 5 different years. And then he had a 6-year stint with the Edmonton Oilers. He had a lot of good years. Just about most of the NHL years, he had a save percentage of .904 and better. He ended his NHL days playing in 5 games with the Colorado Avalanche back in the 03-04 season. He appeared in 1 playoff game there, and then he completed his season overseas in 3 different years. And really, when I think about that championship run, I kind of think about all the newspaper articles talking about Tommy Salo. And he was, among all those big names, the Scott Arnolds and Andy Brickleys, the guy that I remember the most from that championship year was Tommy Salo. I think really when you think about the 2 things I remember most, 1 is Tommy Salo, and 2 is Butch Goring, the head coach who won 4 Stanley Cups with the Islanders back in the early 80s as a player, is him showing up in those on the Fox 13 sports page. And I remember that because that was always a little bit earlier than the other newscasts. They on Sunday nights at 9:30, you'd have the Fox 13 sports page, and he would show up late in the show. It'd always be about 20 minutes into the show, and he would be in there for an interview, and he'd have that 1990 style starter jackets, and he looked sharp. And that was one of the things that was like an early impression of, the Utah Grizzlies. That's a sharp logo. That's a sharp look. And, what's this sport? Hockey? Ton of fun. And that was obviously back in the days when Fox had the National Hockey League. And I've spent a lot of time this week on YouTube watching old NHL and Fox games from that era, and particularly the Avalanche, Red Wings, teams like that. And that was a fun era of hockey. And it's one that I think we're starting to get back to now. Obviously, you think about, now with the NHL coming to town, the hockey renaissance there. But it felt like there was a little bit of that hockey renaissance back in the late 1990s. When the Grizzlies showed up, made a strong impression with winning a championship that first year. And, it's just been great ever since, as obviously this year is the 30th season of Utah Grizzlies hockey. They spent 6 years in the IHL, then that league folded. They spent 4 seasons in the American Hockey League, and then that team was sold to Dan Gilbert, who moved the club to Cleveland. They're currently known as the Cleveland Monsters, and this is the 20th year of the Grizzlies playing in the ECHL. Let's see if we have any updates on the game. Looks like both teams have taken 4 shots in the third period. We're 4.5 minutes into the third, and we're still tied at 2. Let's see if we can get a quick look. I mean, we had talked about shots being pretty close to even. That was something we were going to keep an eye out for tonight. In the third period, it looked like the Grizzlies took the first shot with Mick Messner, and then Adam Berg took a shot 46 seconds in. Wichita responded with 3 shots, and then TJ Lloyd got a penalty for Wichita 3:50 into the third period. Mick Messner took 2 power play shots, one 3:57 in, and another 4:23 into the third period. It appears that power play is going on right now. Messner is up to 5 shots, which is about what he's averaged recently. In fact, over the last 5 games, he's taken 20 shots. And it seemed like ever since Neil Shea got called up to the American Hockey League 5 games into the season, Messner has been kind of one of those high-volume shooters. You know, he has really he's really stepped into that role. And Messner's got 5 goals and 5 assists this season. And he really, it just seemed like since the start of training camp, he came in, had a great week of training camp. He played great in the 2 preseason games against Idaho, and he's just carried it over. And he's been one of Utah's most productive forwards. It looks like the power play is close to ending, and it doesn't look like the Grizzlies scored on that power play, as we are now 4.5 minutes into the third period, maybe 5.5 minutes in or so, and we're still tied at 2. That power play might be towards the tail end, as Messner had 2 shots in the power play. It looks like we'll see if we can get an update in a couple minutes as to anything that's happened over at INTRUST Bank Arena, as unfortunately we're unable to watch the game as internet issues have pretty much rendered us useless for tonight. We thank everybody who has tuned in. We wish we had a description of the game. Unfortunately, we're just unable to, with the technology not going in our favor. But we had mentioned, we kind of talked about that trivia question Thursday about the guy that played the most NHL games. That's a former Grizzlies goaltender, and that was Mike Smith, who spent just about 2 decades in the NHL. Smith was with the Grizzlies during the AHL era in the early 2000s. One guy that played in a ton of NHL games, Don Beaupre. He played mostly with the Minnesota North Stars in the 1980s. He had quite a few years in the 90s, early portion of the 90s with the Washington Capitals. He had 666 games of NHL experience. He was with the Grizzlies for 4 games in the 96-97 season. Ron Tugnutt had a handful of games with the Grizzlies. Tugnutt had over 500 games of NHL experience over many years. Just a great goaltending history. Aaron Dell is certainly part of it. With the season he had in the 2013-2014 campaign with Igor Bobkov, both guys were outstanding and kept the Grizzlies in pretty much every game. Recently it's been guys like Joe Canada and Kevin Carr, and really that 2 full season run with the Trent Miner. Last season he was in 9 games with the Grizzlies. It's kind of fun thinking about Will Cranley, who's currently with the Florida Everblades, and a little bit of the success that he has had in Florida, and he's in a great organization. I think Will Cranley's going to do some good things. Let's take a quick look, as it looks like we were kind of stuck on the clock there with about 4.5 minutes into the third period. Now it looks like time is kind of pushed a little bit further. We are now 8.5 minutes into the third period, 11:35 left, and we're still tied at 2. Both teams have had 2 power plays. Utah is 0 for 2 on the power play. Wichita is 1 for 2. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty close game throughout if we're still tied at 2, 8.5 minutes into the third period. As for Will Cranley's Florida Everblades, they come away with the victory 3-2 in overtime. Cranley got the win, stopping 22 of 24. Thiessen picked up the overtime game winner for the Everblades, 3:52 into the extra session. So Florida defeats Kalamazoo 3-2. It looks like over at INTRUST Bank Arena, there's 11:35 left in the third period. Grizzlies and Thunder are still tied at 2. We'll come back and talk some more hockey on the other side and see if we can get an update as to what's happening over at INTRUST Bank Arena. It's the Grizzlies 2 and the Thunder 2. We're back in 2 minutes on the Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Smith's always gives you more ways to save on top of our lower than low prices. And when you download the Smith's app, you can enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons and earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. With a Boost membership, you'll save even more with double fuel points and free delivery. Discover more ways to save big every day. Smith's, fresh.
Commercial to recreational truck accessories, Mountain Land Truck Outfitters has got what you need. Flatbeds, spray and bed liners, lifts and leveling kits, wheels and tires. Mountain Land Truck Outfitters proudly uses a brand you know and trust. And with our experienced, knowledgeable, and friendly staff, your visit here will be informative and enjoyable. Stop into our convenient location in Provo at 265 South 100 West or call 801-225-4637 to get a quote for your fleet or individual truck. Mountain Land Truck Outfitters.
Looks like we're halfway through the third period, and nobody has found the back of the net yet in the final frame, as we're still tied at 2. Grizzlies have 1 goal in the first, 1 in the second. Wichita scored 2 goals in the second period. Halfway through the third period, and we're still tied at 2 between the Grizzlies and the Thunder. So far, early in the third period, the Grizzlies have a 7-4 shot advantage. Wichita right now has 30 shots, and the Grizzlies have 29. We're halfway through the third period, tied at 2. Other games involving Mountain Division opponents. Early third period, Tulsa leads Allen 4-3. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Tulsa looks like. They're a club that can be up and down at times, but they've got a consistent head coach in Rob Murray, who's been around for quite a while. He was Alaska's head coach before they folded after the 2016-2017 season. He's been with Tulsa ever since. Tulsa's off to a good start at 8-4-1. Special teams have made a big difference. Really, that's the only thing keeping Allen in the game, as Allen is 2 for 4 on the power play. Tulsa's 0 for 1. And right now, Tulsa leads Allen 4-3 early in the third period. 5 minutes into the second, Idaho leads Rapid City 4-0. And getting underway in about 20 minutes, Kansas City is at Tahoe. There's 9:13 and counting left in the third period, still tied at 2 between the Grizzlies and the Wichita Thunder. We kind of mentioned here and there, the National Hockey League, and obviously the Utah Hockey Club is the newest member of the National Hockey League. It was interesting last Friday, standing in line. It was about 40 degrees, thinking about getting one of those jerseys. And they ran out of jerseys with names and numbers pretty quickly. It was interesting to kind of see the demand. And what's really been great, I've gone to 3 NHL games so far this season. What's great is walking through the concourse. You're looking, and obviously a lot more people are picking up their NHL gear. But what you see? You see a lot of people wearing that green, black, that professional green, black, and white Utah Grizzlies look. A lot of people wearing Grizzlies gear over downtown at the NHL games. And I know that it's certainly a lot of fun. I mean, last Monday, I was able to see Alex Ovechkin score 2 goals in person. Who would have thought that a year ago? I mean, seriously, the first time we ever really thought that an NHL team was even possible was when Ryan Smith made that announcement in late January. That was late January of 2024. Who would have thought around Thanksgiving last year that you can just drive, downtown and go watch the National Hockey League, see people like Alex Ovechkin, We need to find a way to postpone next Friday's game so we can go downtown and see Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and company. I mean, it's just fun. It's part of one of the things when you're a sports fan, and that's part of why I grew up a basketball guy, is I could go downtown and really I'd go sit in the cheap seats 3 or 4 times a year. But you could see, the greats of the NBA. You could see Stockton and Malone, and you can go over and all the great superstars over the last 30 years. I can say I saw Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Tim Duncan, and name all the other greats. There's a strong chance I saw them all. Can't necessarily say that living in the Salt Lake Valley and not traveling out of state all that much. Can't necessarily say that I've seen too many NHL games in person. And so that's that's part of what has gotten me so excited about this hockey renaissance, and is the opportunities to see people like Alex Ovechkin in person. Looks like there's now 8:36 left in the third period. We're still tied at 2. Nobody has scored so far in the third period, and we're kind of wondering if we're getting into territory where the next goal turns out to be the game winner, that sort of thing. One of the things I've noticed at every pro level, whether it's the NHL, the AHL, or the ECHL level, is momentum in a hockey game. It seems like, some people would always talk about the worst lead in hockey was a 2-goal lead, and it seems like people have now said that, hey, the worst lead in hockey is a 3-goal lead. It just seems like momentum's carried to where if you get that first goal, maybe you score with about 5 minutes left in the third period, you were down 3 and now you're down 2. Not only did you get that goal, but if you get a good shift, that next shift after a goal, you keep that momentum going, and who knows, maybe you get another goal, and before you know it, it's a 1-goal game, and you've got the other team frazzled. You're primed to make that comeback and complete the comeback, being down 3, and that it seems like I haven't talked about as much this year, but the Military Night Miracle, they're in mid-March when the Grizzlies had a 4-1 deficit. They scored 3 goals in 68 seconds. It was aided by a 5-on-3 power play. Grizzlies scored on that, and then a 5-on-4 power play 48 seconds later as Fitz redirected a Kyle Mayhew shot, and then 20 seconds after that, Josh Wesley tying up the game. One of the 3 NHL games I've gone to this year was when Utah had a 4-1 lead. San Jose scored 3 goals in like a minute and a half. Maybe it was a minute 50 if I remember right. All of a sudden it was a tied game. San Jose had all sorts of momentum, got to overtime, got a power play, and won it. That's one of the things I've noticed from the Grizzlies. Not only last year, they were a great team at kind of keeping that momentum, but this season, it always seems like, if you're talking about turning points in a hockey game, the one thing that you look at, one is when you score a goal, and what do you do that next shift? That's one of the tough things. I mean, Washington against Utah on Monday, the Capitals scored 2 goals 10 seconds apart, and that was the first 2 goals that the Washington had. They took a 2-1 lead off of that, and that was about halfway through the first period. So when I'm watching a Grizzlies game, that's really one of the things I'm looking forward to the most, and it's kind of tough not seeing it as. What happens after a goal? What does the momentum do? What happens to the momentum in a hockey game? So it's just that's something that's, I think, even more now than ever. I don't know why it is, but it seems like momentum, once you get it, you just have to find a way to score as many goals as you can. I think the game in this series that kind of reminds me that is Wednesday, the first game of the series. Wichita outplayed Utah pretty badly in the first period, outshooting them 16-5, and Wichita ended up outshooting Utah 16-5 and leading the game 2-0. Well, the Grizzlies, you knew that they were going to come out with a little bit more fire in the second period, and they did that. What really aided the Grizzlies getting back in the game was getting a 5-on-3 power play. Messner scored 3.5 minutes in. Then a couple minutes later, Dashke scored, and it was a 2-2 tie. Really, if you're talking about the big momentum swing in that game, was the fact that Wichita came back the next shift and scored 33 seconds later to take a 3-2 lead. And the Grizzlies didn't score again the rest of the night, and Wichita ended up winning a 5-2. It appears the game is still tied at 2. There's now 6.5 minutes left in the third period. it was interesting, before Wichita scored that goal that Kobe Walker had that turned out to be the game winner on Wednesday. If I remember right, after Dashke scored, the Grizzlies, about 10 to 15 seconds after that, had a really good scoring chance that would have given them a 3-2 lead. Aaron Dell made a big save. You think about that 60-minute game, what won or lost the game, it was really that 6-minute stretch. It was the Grizzlies getting that momentum, but then once Wichita took it back, scoring that goal and one, it really wasn't necessarily the Walker goal as much as it was Wichita. The next few shifts didn't give up that next big scoring chance to the Grizzlies. And then Wichita was able to score again later in the second period, about 5 minutes later, with Jay Dickman scoring as he just got a breakaway from the offensive blue line in, skated down the middle. That before you knew it was a 2-goal game, and the only way the Grizzlies were going to get back is if they had something else that could break that momentum. Speaking of momentum, I guess in terms of the stat sheet, we're still looking for somebody to kind of break through in this game. As it appears to be deadlocked at 2. There's now 6 minutes left in the third period. Thunder have outshot the Grizzlies 10-8 in the third. It looks like we're progressing nicely in this game. Not necessarily as quick as the previous 2 games. Time of game on Wednesday was 2 hours and 7 minutes. And yesterday it was 2 hours and 6 minutes. We have already kind of surpassed that as we started at about 6:05, maybe 6:06, like I would know when the game started. We are already past that 2 hours and 10 minutes into today's game. So we have about 6 minutes left in regulation. I think the disappointing thing, if you're looking at the play-by-play on the ECHL website, it shows that the Thunder have taken the last 5 shots. The Grizzlies got the power play after TJ Lloyd got a high sticking minor 350 in. We talk about hockey being a game of momentum. The Grizzlies took 6 consecutive shots over the next 6 minutes. Looks like 4 of those shots were taken by Mick Messner. Messner is up to 7 shots to lead Utah. Luke Manning and Aaron Aragon each had a shot. But the Thunder have taken the last, it appears, 6 shots. As there's about 6 minutes left in the third period, Wichita has taken 6 consecutive shots. It's impossible to say without seeing the game, but it appears that Adam Scheel is playing one of his best games in a Utah uniform, as he has really been on point. 6 straight shots by Wichita. It looks like it's been a different player each time. Nobody has more than 1 shot for Wichita in that 6-shot stretch in the middle portion of the third period. I imagine we're near the under 6 timeouts. There's now 5:56 left in the third period. We're still tied at 2. Nobody has scored in the middle frame. And if you are just joining us, unfortunately, we're unable to see the game as I guess a bunch of internet issues that happened in the second period last night are still there. They haven't been fixed. And unfortunately, we don't have any video feed of tonight's game. And if you joined us late, Grizzlies scored first. Kabori Dunn picked up his first professional goal, which came 16:30 in, with Cade Nilsson getting the assist. Utah led 1-0 after 1 period, even though Wichita outshot Utah 15-11. Both teams had 11 shots in the second period. Wichita found the back of the net twice, as Joe Carroll tied it up 5:04 in. Jay Dickman and TJ Lloyd got the assist, and then Kobe Walker scored 9:09 in, with Peter Bates and Braden Hache getting the assists. Later in the second period, Briley Wood found the back of the net for the second time this season. Luke Manning and Derek Dashke with the assists, as Dashke now has an assist in 5 straight games. We didn't get any video. We haven't seen any video of tonight's game, although I believe, based on the photo I saw on the Grizzlies social media account, it is Paw Patrol night over in Wichita, and it does appear that Wichita is wearing Paw Patrol themed specialty jerseys. We do think it was a rebound that Briley Wood scored on, in particular scoring on his own rebounds, his own shot, as they listed Briley Wood with 2 shots. 13-15 into the second period. One that bounced off Adele, and then Wood got it back, shot again, and scored. That was 13-15 into the second period, and it appears that that's the last goal we've seen as it stays a 2-2 game. As Wichita has taken 6 shots in a row in the middle portion of the third period. There's now 5:56 left in the third. I imagine they're at the under 6 timeout, so we'll take one as well. We'll come back and talk some hockey, and we'll figure out how this one ends together on the other side. It's the Grizzlies 2 and the Thunder 2. You're listening to the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Why is Jerry Seiner the #1 Kia store in the Salt Lake region? Selection. We've got over 350 new Kias to choose from. Savings. Shop over 40 new Kia Sportage models and save up to $2,500 off when you buy. Jerry Seiner has been the area's most trusted automotive source for over 40 years. Little wonder then how we've made thousands of friends to last a lifetime. Jerry Seiner Kia, Salt Lake.
Thanks to Les Schwab Tires, I'm a confident backseat driver, but Mom's a little stressed about spending. Remember, breathe in. Now watch your speed and breathe out. Good. Even though we're watching our wallets, Les Schwab is still watching out for our safety. So turn here.
Help keep drivers and backseat drivers safe with Les Schwab Tires.
Well, smoke them if you got them. As Utah and Wichita are tied at 2 with 4.5 minutes left in the third period. So it looks like they're continuing with live action. Nobody has scored in the third period. It's interesting as both teams have gotten a few shots off. Wichita's taken 12 in the third period. The Grizzlies have 8. We had mentioned the shot count kind of being something to keep an eye out, as Wichita was a plus 11 in the shot margin on Wednesday. And then last night, Wichita outshot Utah 33-23. It appears that Tyson Upper got a bench minor for interference. According to the stat sheet, I wonder, there is a rule this year that a player cannot sit on the boards. I wonder, based on that description, if that is what happened. And because he got a bench minor for interference. We got some bad news. Wichita scored to take a 3-2 lead, and it was a power play goal as the Thunder are now 2 for 3 on the man advantage. Upper got the bench minor for interference. We can only guess that he sat on the boards and picked up a penalty, and very late. In fact, there was 2 seconds left on the power play when Nolan Burke apparently tipped, according to Jason Malls on a text, tipped a Braden Hache shot. And that is 15:35 into the third period. The new score is Wichita 3 and Utah 2. We might have to ask after the game of somebody that was there if that was one of the new rules coming into play. A bench minor for interference, according to the box score. And we had mentioned, there's about 6 or 7 new rules. We talked about it at the beginning of the season. One of the rules, it seemed like we started to see a little bit of an epidemic where players wanted to be super quick with the line change. So they would not only would stand up, they would sit on the boards a little bit, waiting to enter the ice. And I guess it was enough of a problem that they put a rule in place saying you can't do that. And if you did, you would get a penalty. Maybe you would have gotten a warning and then a penalty, but I imagine in particular early in the season, trying to, eliminate it, it's possible that's just a penalty even without a warning. And so based on that description of the penalty, bench minor for interference, I wonder if that's what happened to give Wichita a power play. And like I said, with 2 seconds left in the power play, that's when Nolan Burke scored. Apparently he tipped a Braden Hache shot. And so Wichita's got a 3-2 lead as Burke scored 15:35 into the third. So the Grizzlies are going to need a comeback. This is I kind of had this debate at about 5 o'clock, 5:30, knowing that we weren't going to get a video description. Like, what are we going to do? Like, do we just call it a day, not do a broadcast and go watch basketball? Or, it's like, do we just do what we're doing now and just kind of do a talk show with a bit of a description of the game as it pulls up on the box score? I guess that's the option we decided to go with. And so it looks like Burke tipped in the Hache shot. Wichita leads with 4.5 minutes left in the third period. We hope to see a big crowd at Maverick Center next week as the Grizzlies take on the Indy Fuel. It's going to be a 3-game series. The next home game for the Grizzlies will be on Wednesday, November 27th. That's the day before Thanksgiving. And then Black Friday is going to be a special ticket offer. It's Grizzlies are going to be wearing whiteout specialty jerseys for Black Friday, and you get $12 tickets. Certainly a great deal. You can watch some good hockey at an affordable price. And then the pickleball night is on November 30th, and you got to go to UtahGrizzlies.com. I think that's the only way you can buy the Grizzlies special pickleball paddle. It's got a Grizzlies logo on it. It's a pretty sharp look. And I guess the pickleball paddles are more expensive than I thought they were. But apparently you can get one for a pretty good price for a pickleball paddle that's going to have a Grizzlies logo on it. Pickleball night's going to be on Saturday, November 30th. Go to UtahGrizzlies.com. That's the place to get the pickleball paddle. And you got to get it now because apparently there's only 200 of those pickleball paddles that are in existence. So you're going to have to go to UtahGrizzlies.com and get the pickleball paddle that comes with a ticket and one of those Grizzlies special paddles. And then the homestand continues the first week of December as Tato Had's Kansas City Mavericks will be in town. That's going to be a 3-game set, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, December 4th, 6th, and 7th. The last 2 games of that series are going to be Healthcare Appreciation Weekend presented by U of U Health. Later on in December, the Grizzlies will have 6 games against the Tahoe Night Monsters, 3 in Tahoe, and that's going to be the first time the Grizzlies will ever be in Tahoe. That's going to be December 12th, 14th, and 15th. Kind of unusual nights with Tahoe being in the Pacific time zone. Thursday and Saturday, the 12th and 14th, are going to be at 8 o'clock, and Saturday, now it's Sunday. It's going to be a 4 o'clock start on December 15th. Sunday. Tahoe will be at Maverick Center December 18th, 20th, and 21st. And that December 21st game is going to be the Teddy Bear Toss as well as Ugly Sweater. So you're going to want to get your tickets and be part of that. There was over 3,600 teddy bears tossed last season, which broke a team record. And I want to see us break that record once again. So we have had some great momentum over the last couple of years with Teddy Bear Toss Night. And so that's one of those where I think the Grizzlies fans want to find a way to outdo themselves. And let's see if we can break that record of Team Teddy Bears. And right now the record is a little bit more than 3,600. Let's see if we can get a little bit more. Well, we got some more bad news, Grizzlies fans. Looks like Wichita scored to make it 4-2. As Joe Carroll, it's that same combination. It's Carroll getting the goal and Jay Dickman getting the assist. And that appears to have put this game on ice. As right now, Wichita leads Utah 4-2. It was late enough in the game that it might have been an empty netter, as it looked like Shield left the ice for the extra attacker with a minute and 38 seconds left in the third period. And it appears that Joe Carroll has scored an empty netter to give the Thunder a 4-2 lead. And it looks like the time of goals, the box score has updated itself, was 18:31 in. So it was an empty net goal. It was 9 seconds after Shield left for the extra attacker. Carroll gets his second of the game. Jay Dickman gets his second assist, both of them on Carroll goals. And so Wichita, we had mentioned that shot count. Once again, Wichita is a +9 in the shot count. Wichita's taken 41 shots to Utah's 32. Thunder have 15 shots to Utah's 10 in the third period. And obviously, that doesn't mean everything. I mean, we've seen many games where a team outshoots another 50-23, yet the team with 23 shots wins 5-1. Obviously the raw shot count doesn't mean a whole lot. I wish we'd have more specifics in this league on scoring chances. How many of those 32 shots that Utah took, how many of those were prime shots? How many of them were, within maybe a 5 to 10 foot radius of the crease? How many of them were taken in the slot as opposed to along either boards? How many of them were taken near the blue point, the blue line up top, mostly by defensemen, and how many of them were taken at new tries? It just happened to slide in on net. Those count as shots just the same. It's almost like you'd like to be a little bit more specific in seeing, those 41 shots that Wichita's taken. How many of them were good looks? How many big saves has Adam Schill had to make tonight to keep the Grizzlies in the game? Unfortunately, it looks like, barring a miracle, it's going to be a Wichita 3-game sweep, as this game might be nearing its end, and it appears that there's 44 seconds left in the third period, and Wichita leads 4-2. Hard to say whether Schill's in net, but looks like it's going to be a 3-game sweep for the Thunder, and I think in particular it's disappointing based on how the Grizzlies have looked in years past against Wichita. You think about coming into this year, in the 14 games the Grizzlies have played against the Thunder, Utah's won 12 of them. But it's Wichita in the first 3 of 9 season meetings between the clubs. It's the Thunder that come away with the sweep. And so this is kind of a nightmare series for Ryan Kanasewicz's crew. It's been a tough road trip. Through 6 of 7 games on the road trip, the Grizzlies are now 1-4-1. Utah's 3-5-1 away from home. Once you count tonight's game, it looks like the Grizzlies are now 5-6-1 overall this season through 13 games. For the Thunder, their record is now 9-7-1. And what a crazy start to the year it's been for the Thunder. They lost 2 games at the start of the regular season, and then the Thunder won 6 in a row. Their record was 6-2 after 8 games, and then Wichita went and lost 6 in a row. In particular, their record was 0-5-1. They lost 6 straight, but one of those they did get a standing point in overtime. And now the Thunder have won 3 in a row. Next week, Wichita will host the Worcester Railers in a 3-game series. Worcester, an Eastern Conference team, and their record this season is 6-8 coming into play tonight. So the Thunder seem to be that Dow Jones team. They seem to be up for a few weeks, and they're down for a few weeks. Now it looks like they're back on the upswing. It looks like the game has now gone final, and the Wichita Thunder come away with a victory. Final score, Wichita 4 and Utah 2. It does look like there's officially, I'd say, 6 seconds left, but mathematically it's all for naught. So it's going to be a Wichita victory as they count down on the ECHL box score on the ECHL app, and now time has run out. Final score from INTRUST Bank Arena, it's the Wichita Thunder 4 and the Utah Grizzlies 2. We'll recap the 3 periods of play, and we'll also put a bow on this one. And thanks for hanging with us. Unfortunately, we didn't have a game to describe. We just tried to have some fun over the last few hours, and hopefully you'll join us on Sunday, as the Grizzlies will be at BOK Center, and hopefully we'll have a Flow Sports feed to be able to describe the game from. Tulsa right now is tied at 4 with the Allen Americans late in the third period. We'll come back and recap this one, as once again the final score from INTRUST Bank Arena is the Wichita Thunder 4 and the Utah Grizzlies 2. It's the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
From commercial to recreational truck accessories, Mountain Land Truck Outfitters has got what you need. Flatbeds, spray and bed liners, lifts and leveling kits, wheels and tires. Mountain Land Truck Outfitters proudly uses a brand you know and trust. And with our experienced, knowledgeable, and friendly staff, your visit here will be informative and enjoyable. Stop into our convenient location in Provo at 265 South 100 West, or call 801-225-4637 to get a quote for your fleet or individual truck. Mountain Land Truck Outfitter.
Well, this is the type of broadcast I hope to never, ever do again. It's one where we talk hockey for 2.5 hours without a game being played. The game was played, but we never did get to see it. And if you're just joining us late, unfortunately, Flow Sports was unable to provide a broadcast for tonight's game. No video stream. Unfortunately, that's the way with these remote broadcasts, we're able to view the game. So we had no video, and there was no video, period. I think Wichita did have a radio broadcast, but unfortunately, we were just out of the loop in terms of the video of the game. All I could do is look at the league box score, and it has Wichita defeating Utah 4-2. Grizzlies did score first tonight, and congratulations to Gabori Dunn. He gets his first professional goal, 16:30 in, with Cade Nilsson getting the assist. Wichita outshot Utah 15-11 in the first period, but it's the Grizzlies that led 1-0 after one. Thunder scored 2 unanswered in the early portion of the second period. Joe Carroll scored his first of 2 goals on the night, 5:04 in, with Jay Dickman and TJ Lloyd getting the assists. Kobe Walker gave the Thunder a 2-1 lead. He scored 9:09 in, with Peter Bates and Braden Hache getting the assists. Utah tied it up 13-15 into the second. Wood took the initial shot. It bounced off Adele. He got the rebound, shot again, and scored. At least that's the description on the ECHL play-by-play on the website. Luke Manning and Derek Dashke got the assists. Manning now has 7 assists on the season. And for Dashke, he now leads the club with 12 assists. Dashke leads Utah with 15 points, and he has an assist in 5 straight games. He was tied at 2 after 2 periods of play. Both teams had 11 shots in the second. Wichita outshot Utah 17-11 in the third. We had a very unusual, I guess it's unusual based on the terminology on the penalties on the box score. They say that Tyson Upper got a bench minor for interference. Now, the only thing I could think of is that new rule that was in place where a player cannot sit on the boards before entering the game, or just sit on the boards, period. I imagine, I have no proof of this, but based on that description, I wonder if that's what happened. If Tyson Upper sat on the boards and got a bench minor for interference, 13:37 in. Wichita scored with 2 seconds left in the power play, and Nolan Burke, apparently, according to a text from Jason Malsey, redirected a Braden Hache shot. Burke tipped it in for his second of the year. Hache picked up the only assist. Wichita dominated the special teams battle, and unfortunately, that made the difference for the Grizzlies. Wichita was 2 for 3 on the power play. Grizzlies were 0 for 2. And then with 1 minute and 29 seconds left, Joe Carroll got a second of the game. Jay Dickman with his second assist, as Dickman assisted in both the Carroll's goals tonight. And for the second straight night, Wichita gets an empty net goal. That gave them a 4-2 lead, and that was all she wrote. Thunder come away with a 3-game sweep as they won 5-2 on Wednesday. They got a 4-1 victory last night, and today 4-2 as the Thunder outscore the Grizzlies 13-5 in the 3-game series. That's certainly unusual based on the Grizzlies having a lot of success against the Thunder in years past. Adam Schill apparently hung in there. He saved 39 of 42. 2 of those 3 goals that were allowed by Schill were power play goals, and if it was tipped on the Burke goal in the third period, then that's one of those that, can be tough on goaltenders, and sometimes you just have to guess as to where the puck's going to end up. Those usually aren't responding. Usually the goalie, he's credited with the goal allowed, but that's kind of tough. Sometimes you just have to give the other team credit, and if that was the case, then you might just have to credit Wichita on that one. Obviously, we don't have video footage to know one way or another, but looked like Schill hung in there, but he picks up the loss. His record goes to 5-5-1 on the season. Wichita's Aaron Dell gets the victory. The former Grizzlies record goes to 4-3-1. He saved 31 of 33 as Dunn scored in the first period and Wood in the second for the Grizzlies. In terms of the shot count, Mick Messner had 20 shots in his last 5 games coming into play tonight. He led the way with 8 shots. Briley Wood had 1 goal on 5 shots. Aragon, Gallant, and Kabori Dunn each had 3 shots, with Dunn scoring late in the first period. Dashke had 2 shots, and so did Fairbrother, the 2 Grizzlies star defensemen, and then 1 shot each for Armstrong, Manning, Lebster, Berg, Hartje, Tyson Upper, and James Shearer. For Wichita, Mikael Stenell didn't have any points. He had 8 shots on goal. Joe Carroll probably should be one of the 3 stars of the game. He had 2 goals. He had 6 shots and was a +1. Like Carroll was a star for the Thunder in this series. He spent all of last season with 2 different AHL teams. And also starring was Peter Bates. He had 1 assist and 5 shots. And then Nolan Burke had the big goal, which was the game winner on a tip-in from a Braden Haché shot. He had 4 shots on the night. 3 stars from over at INTRUST Bank Arena. 3rd star is Joe Carroll, who scored the 2 goals. That 2nd goal was on an empty netter. Usually the 3 stars get picked before then. He was a +1 and had 6 shots. He's the number 3 star. The number 2 star is the guy that scored the game winner, Nolan Burke. From the action that I saw in the series, he played well. He had a good game on Wednesday, and Burke gets the game winner as he scored his 2nd of the year. He's the 2nd star. And the number 1 star is Aaron Dell, who saved 31 of 33. And based on, Dell getting the number 1 star might mean that the Grizzlies, of their 33 shots, that they did a good job of getting action in front of the net. Because, if Dell's the number 1 star, then it's possible, especially in a game as close as this was, with Burke getting the game winner. I mean, Burke would be the obvious number 1 star, unless it was the type of game where the Grizzlies really did get action in front of him, really initiated a lot of stuff. If the Grizzlies were really active among those shots and got plenty of great scoring chances, I mean, that would kind of be a scenario where, thinking about, naming the 3 stars, that would be the sort of scenario where Dell would get the number 1 star. So it's possible the Grizzlies were able to get that traffic in front of him, and Dell, obviously, with about a decade plus of pro experience, it's possible he played a heck of a game. Aaron Dell's the number 1 star. He saved 31 of 33. I'm going to see if I can send a couple texts after this broadcast ends to see if I can get some clarification on the bench minor for interference that Tyson Upper picked up that turned out to be the game winner. I'll see if I can give you an update during the pregame show on Sunday as to what happened there. Unfortunately, from the Grizzlies' perspective, and it has been kind of a constant theme over the last year plus, Grizzlies have struggled on the penalty kill. Wichita was 2 for 3 tonight, and the Grizzlies coming into play this evening just 58.3%. We mentioned it before the road trip that if the Grizzlies wanted to have a good record, they were going to have to find a way to win the special teams battle. Unfortunately, they didn't get that done tonight, and really in a game that was a 1-goal game with an empty netter towards the end to make it a 2-goal contest, especially with that game winner being scored on a power play with about 4.5 minutes left in regulation. That the penalty kill, unfortunately, might have been what cost the Grizzlies this evening. Utah, it's not that far of a drive from Wichita to Tulsa, but the Grizzlies will bus over from Wichita to Tulsa. I'm not sure if it's going to be overnight or if they're going to do that Saturday, either in the morning or in the afternoon. But the Grizzlies will be at BOK Center on Sunday afternoon, and I sure hope that we're going to have video to describe the game. Hopefully the game will be streamed on Flow Sports, and hopefully we can bring more of a description of the game than we were able to give tonight. It was Paw Patrol night over at INTRUST Bank Arena. We believe the Thunder were wearing specialty jerseys based on a photo I saw on X in the second intermission. It just too much, not enough for the Grizzlies. They got outscored 13-5 in the series, and it's been a tough road trip. Sunday's broadcast will start at 1:45 in the Mountain Time Zone. Face-off will be at about 2:05. And, this is just, it's kind of a bad nightmare, it feels like. It kind of felt like all day as I was getting reports, trying to figure out if we're going to get internet over in Wichita to work so we can be able to call the game. At about 1 o'clock, people didn't seem to be very optimistic, but I thought, okay, maybe a couple hours from now, maybe things will start to work. We got to about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then it became pretty clear that, oh boy, we're not going to have any video stream of this game. But, there's no way to see the game. And, having that debate with myself as to, do we just like abandon ship? Do we just not have a broadcast? What are we going to do? I guess whatever we came up with over the last 3 hours is what we came up with. I'm not sure really what it was, but it was what it was. We just found a way, based on the box score, to try to keep everybody up to date on as to what was happening over at INTRUST Bank Arena. It's a night like tonight where you realize that you are very, very far away from that dream. And my dream is to get to the National Hockey League. And a night like tonight, if I ever make it, this will be a night where I'm going to be telling the story of, hey, there was a time I didn't get any video stream of the game, yet I put together a 3-hour broadcast. Boy, the other broadcasters are going to be laughing at some of the stories I'm going to be telling over the last couple nights as to really what's been a crazy week. Lost the video stream halfway through the second period last night, and unfortunately we have missed 4.5 periods worth of hockey. Hopefully next month I'll be able to head to Tahoe, maybe in January, can visit Cincinnati and Bloomington, and hopefully we are in a position to where we never have to worry about whether a video feed was gonna work for us to describe the game. It is what it is. We'll come back on Sunday to finish up the 7-game road trip as Utah Grizzlies will take on the Tulsa Oilers. Thanks to everybody who tuned in tonight, and thanks for your patience and understanding, as unfortunately we just couldn't quite provide much detail on the 3-hour broadcast, but hopefully we had some fun along the way. We'll be back on Sunday afternoon. I'm Tyson Whiting, and it is what it is. You've been listening to the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network. Hope you enjoyed the broadcast and not necessarily the final outcome. Good night, everybody.